scared to ask you too many questions until we get live. We're good? Yeah. And we're live. Adam Greentree, fresh from Australia, fresh from the bush.
Straight from the bush.
Yeah.
It's been crazy. So I was thinking about it, and not even the LA part. I was just thinking I went from the snowy tops of Montana, got home, pretty much hugged the family to death, went straight to Arnhem Land in the Northern Territory of Australia. Complete opposite, like just first thing in the morning, just sweating, covered in mosquitoes, flat barren ground. And then, but no humans, like a small indigenous population out there, and that's it. Then straight from there, so straight from Arnhem Land to Sydney, met Kim in Sydney, and then straight here to LA and flying in, and there's just like, I don't know, how many people live here?
Too many.
Too many.
There's more people here than in the entire country of Australia.
That's crazy. And I remember last time I was here and you're like, you know, this is the safest place on Earth, or the safest place in the US, and there was that armed robbery or whatever there was in Calabasas there. Today when we flew in, I went into like a cell provider to get a SIM card. A dude walks in, looked full dodgy. I knew something was about to go on. The dude that was serving me knew something was going on. I kept seeing him looking over my shoulder at this guy. He grabs a Bluetooth speaker and it's like pretending like he's going to go to the checkout, and I'm just being polite and thinking there's something going on, so let's just get him done and out of the store. Then he goes to do a full runner for it, dude, straight out the door with this Bluetooth speaker. But old mate like had his runners on and chased him down and got it off him.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, every time I come here, there's something crazy going on.
Well, if you're in the wrong place, the wrong time, there's plenty of crazy going on around here.
Yeah, for sure.
There's just so many people.
There's so many people. That's what it is, yeah.
Yeah, there's no way around it. But you know, fairly safe.
Fair.
I mean, you're out there fucking shooting water buffaloes and shit.
Which is safer than fucking people.
That's just not.
Bullshit.
That's just not true. That's
it's
crazy.
Heaps safer than people.
No, when you're Adam Greentree, maybe it's safer because you know what you're doing. You know how to hunt them.
Yeah.
But you were telling a story on whose podcast? Was it Jay Scott's? I forget whose podcast it was. You were telling a story about one of your friends that got gored by a scrub
Pedro
bull.
Lever that got gored by a scrub bull, yeah.
Yeah, see, that's not good. No, that doesn't happen out here.
That's definitely not good. But did I tell you that story?
No.
No. So what happened, he shot a scrub bull.
Well, tell people what a scrub bull is.
Yeah, so a scrub bull's like just like domestic cattle, but it's been out in the wilderness.
Many generations.
Exactly.
Wild. And they changed the way they look.
Yeah, they're
different.
like a real feral, inbred looking.
They're crazy looking.
Yeah, they're crazy
cool.
looking. And they're crazy dangerous too.
Oh, here's a photo of them. I mean, that looks amazing.
Yeah.
That is such a cool looking animal.
That's
that looks
like
so much different.
And that's pretty much a purebred Brahman, that one.
Look at that one. Whoa.
Yeah, that looks like.
So when you say it's a purebred Brahma, that means
that's a pretty good looking bull. If you go up the top, Jamie, there's a couple more at the top. That red one that you were just under.
That one there?
Yeah, that's a pretty typical scrub bull there. That's a fella that I know actually in Australia.
Is that a stick bow he's got?
Yeah, he's got a trad bow. That's all he hunts with is a trad bow.
Oh, Jesus. Why do people do that to themselves?
So the problem with these animals, obviously they don't respect fences, and they'll go and breed and interbreed with like a farmer's stock and things like that.
And is that bad for the farmer stock?
Oh, definitely, yeah. They'll just go straight through fences, and
but
so
I mean,
he'll
as
have
far
a
as
heap of
the
calves.
breeding?
Yeah, he'll have a heap of calves, and they won't be purebred anymore, and you know, so they're not good for rebreeding, or they won't fetch the same value at the markets either.
What is the difference in like the genetics? Like, what do they look? They look different.
They look a fair bit different. So that first bull that Jamie showed was like a Brahman bull. Then one of those scrub bulls, which is just bits of friggin' every sort of bull over a lot of generations, will come in and interbreed with it and then sort of wrecks the herd.
And when did they get released, or when did they escape?
Well, it would have been with the first cattle that come into Australia. So
1800s?
1800s, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they've just sort of morphed and become wild animals now. And a wild bull's very dangerous, right?
They're very dangerous, yeah. So what happened was Pedro shot this bull and it dropped, like, you know, dropped unconscious. He thought it was dead, walked up to it. It jumped up, like he literally got up to it and it jumped up, and anyway, it ended up getting him against a tree. Like he ran to get up a tree. He felt it hit him and it sort of lifted him up the tree. He climbed up the tree. This is the gross bit. Then he felt something warm on his legs and looked down, and his guts and everything were hanging down over his legs. But he was a tough bastard. He gathered his stomach back up and sort of held it in place. Then the bull actually died. He climbed down out of the tree and ended up dying 2 times, I think. Once in the air because the Royal Flying Doctors come in and grabbed him because he was a long way out in the middle of nowhere. And then once on the table, operating table as well.
Wow.
Yeah, but he survived all that and ended up dying of a bloody mass heart attack. So
no way.
Yeah.
When?
He was only 36 or 37.
Do you think it had anything to do with the accident?
I don't reckon it was related at all.
Really?
Yeah.
You would think that a guy could get past getting gored by a bull, push his guts back into him. Like, that guy's not going to get a heart attack.
Life's not fair, eh? Don't give a shit.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, thank you, Jamie. I think
Jamie's adjusting
my shoelace is untied as well if you want to fix that.
Those don't have shoelaces. You got those Under Armour fat tires with a little click in the wheel. I like those.
Yeah. Everyone asks me about my boots. I'll get a glimpse of me whatever shoes that I'm wearing. I'll shoot some awesome animal and they're like, what shoes are you wearing?
People are gearheads, man.
I know.
That's a big thing about hunting is how many people are like crazy gearheads.
Yeah.
They're like, what? They want to know what kind of bow you have, what kind of, what sight are you running, like what kind of shoes do you wear?
It's really uninteresting to me, maybe because I've done it for so long, but I sort of don't care about the gear as long as it works as good as it should. You know, and that's because everyone asks me to keep doing these tip things as well, and I hate doing that. I hate listening to them, but if you're a new guy coming into bow hunting, then obviously you want to know.
Some people love that stuff, man. Like John Dudley's tips that he does. Like he does these live Instagram and YouTube, but Facebook feeds where he'll like take a bow apart, put it back together again, explain the cam systems.
Yeah, he's extreme with it too.
He's extreme.
He's my go-to guy. If I don't know something that I'm doing, I'll go straight to Dudley every time.
Dudley's podcast, if you're into archery, is called Knock On. The Knock On podcast is without a doubt the most in-depth archery podcast from not just hunting from a hunting standpoint, but from just target archery, how important technique is. I mean, he's a real master.
Yeah, loves it. Loves it.
And he's a super gearhead too.
Yeah, he is. How's your sober October going?
It's crazy. It's going good. The sober part's easy. The hot yoga, we're in the home stretch. Today was number 13, so I got 2 more. I'm banging them out this week. I'm going to do tomorrow and Friday and be done with it.
Yeah, right. Awesome.
Because I want to get back to doing other stuff. And when you do a 90-minute yoga class, it's hard to lift weights or run or do anything else. You don't really want to do anything else, you know? So I'm just going to bang it out and get it over with.
Yeah, Kim's done it once, and she reckons it was like hell on earth.
Just the yoga? She's just done it once? Yoga.
I think she had a big drinking session before it. She was in Bali, and she just made some stupid promises to this Balinese woman, and then this Balinese woman's ringing her up the next morning like, where are you for yoga? Kim just thought it was yoga though. So she's like, oh, I can do yoga in my sleep. And she gets here and it's like in this hot room and stuff, and it was killing her. So.
Well, Bali too, I would imagine, is very humid.
Oh, humid. It'd be muggy as hell.
Yeah. Ari was talking about that today because Ari does yoga in New York, which is way more humid than it is in California. California's dry.
Yeah, so he was probably loving today. He just
today we went to a different place today. Today we went to a place that was more mild. So not as hot, but it's your body gets used to it. It's interesting.
Yeah,
it's like there's a lot like I do that cryotherapy stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I did it yesterday for the first time in about 3 weeks, I guess, and it was hard.
Yeah.
Whereas when I do it every day, it's nothing.
You're conditioned to it.
I just get in there and I do, but it's quick how that conditioning goes away.
Yeah. Hey, did you see the pig tusks that I brought you?
Yeah, I did. It's pretty badass.
Did you have a set of them yet?
These are cutters. No, I've never killed a boar. I've only killed sows.
You need to come to Australia, my friend.
I know, I do, but I'm scared. I got to be honest with you. Every time I look at your Instagram feed and I see a brown snake that can kill you, or a spider that can kill you, or fucking saltwater crocodiles. What are you doing playing with crocodiles the other day,
They were coming in the camp, dude. There was a couple of... I wish I captured it on video. There was one that I think it was a female anyway. She must have been coming around the back of camp unnoticed. So when she was heading back to the water, she was literally coming straight through camp to get back to the water. And
there it is.
That photo doesn't do that thing justice.
That photo scares the shit out of me.
That's a real live monster right there.
How big was that fucker?
He's about 5.5 meters.
Whoa.
He's giant. He's old. You can even see it in the texture of his body. He's just a real old croc.
5.5 meters to Americans. I want you to think about 15 feet. America.
There's so a few people have been taken at this spot, mostly Indigenous. have been grabbed at that spot over the years. And when you see an ancient beast like that, there's a chance he's a
man-eater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're just ruthless, eh?
Like, how old do you think a 15.5-foot crocodile is?
Don't know. I don't want to comment because I don't know, and I'll probably get it wrong.
I would like to know, like, how long does it take them to grow 15.5 feet? See if you could find that, Jamie. Saltwater crocodile.
I'm pretty sure they live over 100 years.
Yeah, they live a long time, right? Yeah. So they're ruthless, too.
Yeah.
Like, people who live in Florida, don't get those confused with alligators.
Yeah.
They're a different animal.
Yeah, completely different animal. So we've got the freshwater crocodile, which just lives in freshwater. Then we've got the saltwater crocodile, but he lives in both, you know. And so a lot of people get that confused, like, oh, it's freshwater, I'll be right to go for a swim. No.
So the freshwater crocodiles are not as aggressive?
They're not as aggressive. They might get a bit territorial, but they're not going to grab you to eat you. Whereas the salty will grab you to eat you. You just look like another.
They keep growing throughout their lifespan, require more and more food. When the amount of food is unavailable, they die from starvation. The reason why you don't see 1,000-year-old crocodiles that are 50 feet long. Wow, that's the only reason?
Shit.
Holy shit. The way they die is out of starvation or as if they contract a disease. Yeah. Oh my God, they just keep growing.
So that's why these.
That's crazy.
That's why these ones in captivity, because they're getting hand fed.
Yeah.
Probably get the biggest. Like that's where you'll see your biggest crocs.
The Guinness Book of World Records, the saltwater crocodile caught in Australia as the largest crocodile in captivity, measures 17 feet, 11.75 inches. So basically 18 feet.
Yeah, that's huge.
Oh.
So my buddy Andrew Ukles.
That's so big.
Have you heard of Andrew Ukles?
No, haven't.
Oh, he's like a YouTube sensation. He's been capturing just about everything in Australia for the last millennium, and he's seen a 6-meter crocodile before. Wow. And he's one of these guys, you don't bullshit. Like if he says he's seen a 6-meter crocodile, he's seen a 6-meter crocodile.
Yeah, but that's just the biggest one in captivity, right?
Well, so that's right. Yeah.
And Australia has a ton of food.
Yeah. So
it's not like they're going to starve to death.
This river system, we went down there fishing, and we probably travelled an hour down the river in a little tinny, a little boat. I reckon we've seen 200 to 250 saltwater crocodiles in that time.
Jeez.
Like, because they can't harvest them or they don't cull them out or anything like that.
Is there laws protecting them? Is that what
there is? There's laws protecting them. So that's why the place is just riddled with them at the moment.
But why are there laws protecting them if it sounds like they're infested?
Well, anything that's a native in Australia is protected. So like you guys, you know how you can hunt your white-tailed deer and everything like that. Australia, you can't hunt kangaroos. You can't hunt any natives. So everything we're hunting is an introduced species.
That sounds crazy.
Crocodiles are natives, so you can't hunt them. There's been talk about bringing in like a program, but I don't know if it will happen.
But that's so weird.
Yeah.
That seems to me to be very strange.
It's like a completely different system, yeah.
Yeah. But, well, it makes sense that you guys hunt all the non-native species because they're invasive and they devastate the land and the other wildlife. Like, you guys have crazy problems with feral cats. We talked about that before. And, you know, you have pigs everywhere. And
name it. Donkeys, wild horses, even the funny ones that people don't think about, like donkeys, wild horses, camels. I think camels probably get a little bit of exposure. Then we've got all your typical stuff, you know, pigs, goats. We've got the 6 deer species. So if we didn't have any of those introduced species, there would be no hunting in Australia.
So, but what do they do? That sounds nuts. Like, so they're only hunting just to get rid of the invasive species?
Yeah, that's correct.
But how do they control the populations of the kangaroos?
Kangaroo, you can get like a permit. I couldn't as a bow hunter, or just a hunter couldn't get a permit. But if you're a professional shooter, like you're shooting for human consumption or pet meat or something like that, or if you're a big landowner, you can get like a tag or permits to shoot kangaroos. Then every now and then there'll be an organised cull because they let them get so far out of control that they eat the ground down to dust pretty much. Then they lay around and die a slow death of a couple of months because they lose nutrition. You know, they're weak and they don't move, and it's a very painful way for them to go. Once it gets to that point, it seems like they're like, oh, we need to do a cull now. So, and all it is we've spoken about these people before, the greenies, you know, these people that really don't have a good picture on it and see that a cull or a hunting program is actually better welfare for the animals because they stay healthier and in check.
Well, they don't have any predators, essentially.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Some places got wild dogs or dingoes, but that's about it.
Yeah, and how many dingoes can take out a kangaroo. Those kangaroos get pretty goddamn big.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. They take them out. They try and take down buffalo and stuff. But
do they really?
Yeah, I don't think they're very successful. They'd pick off a pig or a piglet or something like that instead. Yeah.
Man, it's just, I just don't understand why they would not try to keep the crocodiles in check. If you're seeing hundreds and hundreds of crocodiles like that, because what are those things going to eat? What's going on here, Jamie?
This is in Malaysia. A croc showed up in front of somebody's shop, and they were trying to get rid of it, and they apparently don't know how.
Yeah,
these people have helmets on. Why they
like a month ago?
Why they have helmets on?
Maybe they're going to headbutt it.
This guy's got a gaff. What is he going to do here?
Trying to throw a tarp on it so they can get it out
Jesus
of there.
Christ.
It's like a bad idea.
This is hilarious. They're all wearing camo. But why are they wearing red camo?
There might be the firemen, I think. It looks like there's
Come
a fire
on.
truck right there.
But why do firemen wear camo?
What are they blending into that's
uniforms.
got red in it?
That's a uniform, you think?
Probably a fire uniform. That's why they got their helmets on.
But that helmet looks like a motorcycle helmet.
Hey, it's a different country. It's different stuff.
Captain Diversity over here. Jamie Vernon.
Well, look how big that is.
That's a good sized croc.
He's a big fucker, and he's got his mouth open, too. Like he's like, bitch, I'll kill you all.
They're scary, eh?
Oh, they're so different.
Yeah.
Like I grew up when I grew up actually, but I lived there for 3 years. I lived in Gainesville, Florida. And when I lived there, alligators were protected. They used to be protected. And we used to go to this place called Lake Alice, and we would throw marshmallows into the water, and the alligators would come up and eat the marshmallows. But then they started snatching people's dogs. Remember this one lady freaked out. One snatched her dog, just pulled it right off her leash, and she was freaked out. And that started happening more and more. And then the population got denser and denser. At one point in time, they were endangered. Now they're infested. Now there's so many alligators that they have that. You ever see that show Swamp People?
Yeah.
That show where they go hunting for alligators, which, people make purses and shoes and shit out of them. They get 500 tags. 500.
Yep.
So they can shoot 500 fucking alligators.
Yeah, just to keep the population healthy.
And the food is apparently very good. Like the tail meat is apparently delicious.
I think Benny O'Brien was just down there somewhere, maybe a month back.
Oh, yeah?
And they were down there, and they must set a line and hook them and harvest them. And they were taking a heap of meat, obviously the leather off the skins and things like that.
The leather off the skins, the meat is very good. Dudley hunts them. He bow hunts them.
Yeah.
Every year. He goes to Orlando, outside of Orlando.
Yeah. I'd like to. It'd be pretty cool.
It'd be pretty cool. Well, they taste good too, and it's a conservation thing too, because it's like you really do need to control their populations.
Australia needs to get to that point. What's happening now is they're pushing into domestic waters. Like Darwin, the cities like build around a big river inlet or a big water system, and guys will go swimming there and get taken all the time, or people's dogs jump in and they get taken. I think I've seen a video, I don't know if it was in Darwin or where it was, but some lady's filming, and then you just see the back of a croc go under like a jetty, and then the face of the croc comes out, and it's got a full-size domestic dog in its jaws, dude. Swimming. Have you seen that?
I've seen that. It was
imagine seeing that. How creepy is that?
It was swimming in a river system, it seems like some sort of aqueduct or something like that.
Yeah. Crazy,
big dog, too.
And they're just everyone's like, everyone talks about if
there
there's Bigfoot. Oh, this is the one.
That's it. Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ!
Look at the collar on it.
God, that thing is so big.
Like fluffy.
That is a monster. Just straight up. I mean, what are they like? I think they're more than 30 million years old.
Yeah.
I don't think they've changed in 30 plus million years.
I think they just look at everything as potentially food.
Yeah.
And that's where the risk is. And it's the same with a big grizzly bear, They just look at everything as either danger, so they feel threatened and want to attack it, or it's food.
Have you ever seen Jim Shockey's show? That show Uncharted that he does?
Yep, I have, yep.
Jim Shockey's Uncharted, one of them ones, he went to Africa. And I think it was the Congo. I think it was the Congo River. Is that the Congo River? I don't know. Anyway, it was a river. And this native population that lived there, these villagers, they lived right on the riverbanks, and they were just getting taken left and right by crocodiles.
I think I saw
Everyone in the village had like an arm missing or a chunk cut out of their head. Is this it right here? Jim Shockey?
In Mozambique.
Mozambique. There we go. Thank you. And Jim Shockey's just amazing.
Yeah.
But these things, look at what they got here. One of them was feasting on some sort of an animal. Look at these guys. They all have like a stump where their arm is, and there's Jim. And so they wanted to bring in professional hunters to try to help control the population because they were actively targeting the people that live there. And these people, I mean, they live in a very small, very primitive village, and all they have is the water. I mean, that's where they're getting their water from. Which, turn it off, is about to fucking make the kill shot.
YouTube glitch was fucking with me.
Oh, really?
It kept flashing.
What is that?
I needed to refresh it. It was just a thing that happens on YouTube from time to time.
On the computer or normal? Just normal?
Yeah, just the browser.
But
glitch.
it's just the poor people that live there. I mean, you just got to imagine if this is your only place. These people aren't traveling. They don't have cars. They're not flying anywhere. This is where they live. They have to build these sort of fences around these little tiny bays. They build these small makeshift fences to try to protect themselves from the crocodiles when they clean their clean their food or gather water or wash their clothes.
Who wants that risk every day?
Oh, fuck,
this
man.
is one of the reasons why I do these radical hunts, because it makes you realise how good we've got it, right?
Yeah.
Like we just go to the tap and turn the tap on, we get water. Or if you want a shower or a bath, it's in the comfort of your own house. These people are just trying to get water to drink, and they could get snatched, or people have been snatched. Isn't that ridiculous?
Oh, yeah. And that's their life, and there's no other life they know.
Yeah.
Their ancestors have been there, their grandparents have been there, their fathers have been there, their mothers, and now them. Yeah. And this is life.
Yeah, that's why anytime someone complains about Australia or living in the US or whatever, it's like, dude, fucking take a look at what you've got.
So easy.
Isn't it crazy?
It's so crazy. I mean, I was watching your Instagram feed when you were taking water out of this buffalo wallow and throwing it through a filter.
Yeah.
And put it in. Now,
I was a bit concerned about that because when I looked into the filter, it just
see if you can find
like
that video. Is that on your Instagram?
It might be still live on the Instagram.
Can't see that
it's on normal. It's on normal Instagram.
Oh, it's on normal. It's go to see if you can, that way we could see it.
So to starters, I moved probably 200 buffalo off that water hole and like a couple of mobs of pigs that were all like they go out right out into the water and try and cool off. There was at least one big saltwater crocodile in there as well. But I'm walking out there with that bag to collect water.
And are you by yourself?
Yeah, I'm by myself here.
Jesus Christ.
And
sleeping in a little cloth house.
Yeah, there was other guys back in camp, but I was just out on the hunt by myself.
Is that it?
Is this it? This was pretty new. I didn't know if it was older.
Yes.
Right?
I think it's it. And yeah,
here I am. Yeah.
Barefoot, walking up to the water with this pump. I mean, look at this water.
Hey, have a look at this. Look at this. There's a big friggin' buffalo turd sitting right there. In the water. That's all through the water.
Yeah,
but
so this is the water you're gonna drink out
do you
of.
not drink and then friggin' dehydrate and die out there?
But you're drinking turd water.
Yeah, but that's why I hope the filter works.
Now, how do these filters work? How does that...
Well, they claim to filter out 99.99999% of all the germs.
It's that
and bacteria.
0.00001 that's going to fuck you up, though.
Yeah, or something on the edge of the bag that runs down, that's probably going to get you, but...
How often do you get beaver fever when you do
I've
this?
never been sick from drinking water out in the bush or eating any of the meat or anything like that.
Everybody
never
I've ever
sick.
talked to that spends time in the bush gets sick. How have you not gotten sick?
I don't know. Same with my buddy Andrew Uckles, and he seems like a pretty hardy dude. And he's like, oh, so have you had this? And I'm like, no. Nah. Have you had this? I'm like, no. Nah. Have you had this? I'm like, no. Nah. He's like, oh, I nearly died from this. I'm like, what? I've had none of those. And I've drank... There was one time I was so desperate for water. This is going back to when I was like 18 or 19. Like. Actually looks all right. Just the taste after filtering the water tastes
like piss.
Like piss, and I'm like, shouldn't the filter
take the taste out?
Yeah, shouldn't it? Because the taste is obviously from something.
But it's still piss.
It's still piss, but it's probably actually really good for you.
Drinking piss is good for you?
Well, drinking that water.
Do you put I see you got a Mountain Ops bottle. Do you put like some flavoring in there?
Yeah, just to mask it a bit. I think I'd run out at this point. That was like 27-kilometer hike that day.
So you just deal with the taste.
You just deal with it. And you know what? You're that thirsty that it doesn't nearly bother you at the time.
Well, when you did that epic hunt up here you started in Colorado, right?
Yep.
And then you went to Idaho.
But I didn't actually hunt Idaho. I crossed through Idaho into the back of Montana.
Yeah.
Trying to find a spot with limited hunters and more elk.
And we were all following you on Instagram story.
That was a tough hunt. There was heaps that I left out of it, and I'm like, I'll just save this for Joe.
What?
Well, I got really sick, like there was just liquid coming out of friggin' every spot I could.
Do you think you got sick from water or something?
I don't want to admit that.
Yeah, you just said you never got anything.
Because a couple of people wrote me messages and like, that's a good way to get sick. And I'm like, I've done this heaps, it's fine.
What did you do? Did you drink right out of the ground?
I actually ate some jerky that had been, I left it in the tent, and the tent got really hot. Like the start of the hunt, the heat was soaring, you know, and the jerky went a bit sweaty and that in the bag. But I was starving, so I'm like, I'm just going to eat it. And then it was nearly like 2 hours later that I was like, yeah, I don't feel real good. But I've never been tent bound in my life, and I'm just like, nah, just keep hunting, don't worry about it. So, but this is bad. I probably shouldn't say it, but I literally hunt for 5 minutes and have to pull my strides down, you know, and then go number twos, and then walk for another 5 minutes and be like, oh fuck, you know, and pull my strides down again. So you just shit your brains
out for a couple days?
Oh, dude.
How many days?
2 days. I think that's because I lost 17 kilos. I reckon I lost 10 of them in them couple of days.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's that in pounds? 17 kilos. That's a lot of pounds.
35.
Yeah. You lost that much weight?
Yeah. My pants were falling off me, dude. Like,
wow.
Like literally falling off me from being tight on my waist to falling off me.
So this is because you were hiking every day?
Yeah, just hiking every day. I hiked over 300 miles all up. 314 miles, I think it was all up. And 22 days.
That's so crazy. That's
limited food. And, you know, maybe that bad jerky helped as well. But I'm like, so I'm going to start a weight loss program.
Bert Kreischer, my friend Bert, that I did yoga with today, he's obsessed with you.
Is he?
He's like, Adam Greentree's going to be on the podcast today.
I heard him. Well, Kim sent me a link, and she's like, you should listen to this podcast, and I listened to it, and he's like, I feel like I could be friends with that dude. And I'm like, yeah, we can be friends. Then he put friggin' on Instagram some dude trying to milk his nipples. And I'm like, we can't be fucking friends. But he's won me back over because he'd done that hilarious video of you dancing today.
The Sober October videos.
I was crying.
Yeah, we did our 13th, he and I did our 13th yoga class today, and Ari and Tom are on number 14. 2 more to go for me, 1 for those 2 guys.
That's awesome.
We're at the home stretch.
That's a good effort.
Yeah, it's nothing compared to 28 days in the bush.
Yeah, it was good. I loved it. I missed a lot of things. Like, it makes you realise, you know, like I said, how lucky we are just to have the life. And I've always been the person that doesn't take anything for granted anyway, but it's just that, you know, it really rings home, you know, the simple things.
So you just went out there? Like, you didn't necessarily have a good area that had been scouted out?
No, I definitely didn't have a good area, but met a real nice young dude. Actually messaged me through Instagram, and at the time I could hardly get to any messages. But anyway, it was one that I read, and he's like, look, while you're in this unit, he picked what unit I was in. He's like, come over to this area. I've hunted it for, you know, pretty much my whole life, and there's a few good bulls there. And the first day or the second day that I was in there, I seen 3 really good bulls. And that's what kept me there, because I kept thinking I'm going to find them bulls again, and they just cleared off. They just moved out of the area. The whole idea of hunting Colorado was because last year I had a couple of issues with grizzlies in Montana, and doing it solo, I'm like, you're a dickhead if you do that again, because you've got 3 young kids and a beautiful wife. Like, it's a big risk to take. Like, I take risks, but that's one that's out of my control, you know, a grizzly going,
Yeah.
And so I kept trying to avoid that area. And then when I wasn't finding bulls, like, so I ended up moving out of Colorado, went to Idaho and walked into the back of Montana where there's supposed to be less grizzlies, and that's where I got charged by a grizzly.
There's a lot of grizzlies in Montana.
Man, it's crazy. They're out of control too. They're just friggin' like the crocs on dry land.
You saw grizzlies in Colorado, though.
I did, yeah.
Now, this is a disputed thing.
I've copped so much flack over that.
Now, you're positive that these were grizzlies?
100%.
Now, why...
There's black bear in the same area.
Right.
And I nearly could do the comparison because there was a black bear there and there was a grizzly there. I'd seen the black bear first, and I'm like, oh, and you'll see the video, like, oh, there's a black bear over there. That's pretty cool. She's got cubs, so I just want to try and avoid her. Then looking at this other bear, and I've seen grizzlies before, this thing's a completely different beast. There's no mistake in the two. It's not like, that's just that's a young-looking grizzly, so now it looks like a big black bear. No. It's a friggin' massive grizzly, and compare it to a massive black bear, there's still a massive height difference and everything. The big raked up shoulders, the big square head.
Did you have a spotting scope with you?
No, I didn't. I just had my binoculars.
And 10-42s?
10x42s, the Mavens, yeah.
Yeah, so...
The same ones you got.
Did you got a good look at it?
Oh, awesome look, but at that point, I just figured, oh, shit, there is grizzlies in Colorado. Just the couple of people that told me, oh, you won't see grizzlies there, just didn't know the area right. So I didn't think much of it. So I did the little film through the binos and stuff like that. And, like, there's a big mama grizzly up there. She's got cubs. I definitely want to stay away from her. Then I wanted to haul my ass out of that, because that's in a basin. I wanted to haul my ass out of that basin and not sleep in that basin for the night. So I moved on pretty quick, got to the top of the ridge, looked at her again. She was feeding along. I'm like, cool. Then slept on the other side of the ridge, then come back through there in the morning, spotted her again in the morning, kept walking out of there. Then I got reception again, and then I had a heap of messages. There's not supposed to be any grizzlies in Colorado. I'm like, fuck. I just blew it off as in, oh, there is grizzlies here. Shit, these guys got it wrong. Not that it's a massive big deal and that there's not supposed to be at all, and no one wants to admit that they are there. So,
is it that no one wants to admit it, or is it you were deep into the backcountry?
Yeah, that as well.
So there's a limited amount of people, though.
There's been multiple sightings in the area. I don't want to say the area because next year I'm going to go back and document it with a decent camera and everything like that.
To try to get some video of the bears, too?
Try and get some real good evidence and stuff like that. So I haven't really spoken about it a lot since then because I just got pounded with messages going, there's no grizzlies in Colorado, you idiot.
Well, don't you want to tell, like, wildlife biologists or someone?
Apparently they already know and they don't want to admit it because of the whole Protected Species Act and everything like that.
Well, what does that mean, though? Why wouldn't they want to admit that there's bears there?
I think it might be a pain in the ass. I don't know.
I don't understand.
Don't know, but I'm keen to get to the bottom of it. You know what sort of person I am. I ain't giving up on this.
I know you.
Next year I'm hiking back in there again, and I'm going to try and get some good evidence.
But it seems to me that they would want. I mean, I don't understand why they would want to deny the existence. Why?
No, either do I. But a lot of people are saying there's actually, I think there's a website where it takes in people's sightings and stuff like that. And all the sightings and the last grizzlies known in Colorado are all in this mountain range. That probably gives a lot of it away.
Was it San Jose? San Jose Mountain Range?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it's out there now.
Well, sorry.
But no, it's massive. Like
it's a huge mountain range.
I'm not too worried. Yeah. All the last sightings were there. And I think the last sightings were in the 80s, maybe the early 90s. There was grizzlies there. And when you look at a map and you look at the range, it'd be nothing for them to be there still.
Right. Well, there's grizzlies also.
Or new ones walk in there.
There's grizzlies in Wyoming, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's connected.
Yeah.
So of course they're probably there. Why do they think they're not there?
I don't know. You get up there and you have a look at this mountain range, and it's just 100% grizzly country.
Oh, look at that.
That one there, I'm not.
The last credible sighting occurred in 2006 near Independent Pass. Officials investigated but found nothing. The 1979 bear had cubs. They're likely dead. Is that a bear right there that they got on camera? That's obviously a grizzly. Yeah, you could tell the difference. I saw one in Alberta. I've only seen one. See
that grizzly there, if that is a grizzly?
Yeah.
This thing that I've seen towers over that. Like we're talking about a fully mature mother grizzly bear.
So you're talking about like a 10-foot bear?
Yeah, just a huge bear. Like there's no mistaking it. This thing would, when she was walking, you could see, like she's out here like this, you know, like she had. When they get big and mature, you'll see they've got like a silver back on them, like a gorilla. You know, they've got this silver back on them, like this. It's like the last part of the hair goes silver. She's the right color, the right shape, the right size, and everything. So.
So you only saw her and her cubs, or you saw more? Her
and her cubs, and then the other one. There's a photo of another one. That's just a cinnamon black bear, and I think a few people got confused, and that's probably on my end from. I just posted a story about a grizzly, and then I had these other bear shots.
That's a grizzly.
From 2011, it says, actually.
Ooh, Steamboat Springs.
Yeah.
Okay. That's Colorado,
right? I nearly look at that as a cinnamon phase black bear. I might be wrong.
Go. Can you make that larger, Jamie?
It's as big as it gets.
That might be a grizzly.
Yeah, it could be.
But yeah, you might be right, though. That could be a color-phased brown bear, or a black bear, rather. It could be.
Just looking at, if it's a younger grizzly, then maybe not. But, you know, she just had this friggin' massive head, dude, like flared out like this, you know. The big ridge on the back. And
it'd be interesting if Adam Greentree was the one who proved that there was...
From Australia.
Yeah, grizzly bears in Colorado. But the point is, there's very few people that are going deep into these mountain ranges.
Yep.
Like, how far back were you from the trailhead?
Well, so I rode a really rough trailhead on a mountain bike for so far. Then that trail pretty much disappeared out to nothing. Then I hiked a full must have been 7 hours, because she was like just before, you know, sundown. So it would have been a good 7 hours in the back then. And that's because there was no elk. That's going non-stop, you know. And if you watch the video, I run a lot of it because it was just what I call dead country. You know, there was not really good looking hunting country. So you'll see me sort of trotting along most of it. So it was a long way back. There was no human footprints up there. There was nothing like that.
10 miles, 15 miles?
Probably, yeah, 16 miles, I think it was.
So the odds of people going back there on a regular basis are probably pretty slim.
Very slim, yeah.
So they probably just don't know. And
no, that's right, yeah.
That's one of the issues that apparently they're dealing with in BC. You know, in BC, when you talk to the people that live there versus the people that are, you know how BC has banned grizzly hunting?
Yeah, yeah.
The people that live in BC are terrified of that now.
Yeah.
Because they're like, we have to control these goddamn things. Like, what they say, the people that I know that live up there, they say the wildlife biologists are rarely here.
Yeah.
Like, they need, and the hunters, the people that live up there, the outfitters, it's like, you need to take some sort of a census from us.
They're the
boots
people on the ground. Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And the way they describe it is like, there was Gritty Bowman did a podcast about this with one of the guys that lives up there that's an outfitter, and he was saying, we encounter them all the time, and they're hyper aggressive.
Yeah.
Like, you're talking about people, these biologists that are rarely there. There's not like any like really involved, intricate census that they're doing where they're really in-depth accounting of all the bears. He's like, you got to get information from the people that live there, and if you do, they're going to tell you there's a lot of them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're not smart enough to control themselves, right? Because a lot of these people just want to sit back and just let these animals do what they want to do.
That's the idea they want to do in BC. They think that what they can do is, I mean, this is speculation, but they think that what they can do is instead of let the people control the predators, they think let the predators eat all the game that they can, and then when they don't have enough food, their populations are naturally going to diminish.
Yeah.
And they're like,
I like the idea, but that ain't going to work.
Well, it can happen, but it could take 50, 60 years.
Yeah.
And the problem is along that, you're going to get a lot of human death, get a lot of pets, you're going to get a lot of animals that are going to invade into farmlands.
Yeah.
It just seems to me that that's not a wise way to handle it.
No, definitely not.
And it's also, they're going to have to pay money to kill problem bears.
Yeah, yeah. Instead
of making money. But they don't look, this whole Cecil the lion thing, I think fucked a lot of people up. You know, the idea of some evil person just going over there and shooting some beloved animal, that became the narrative. And everybody sort of has this idea in their head that this is what bear hunting is. It's the same sort of thing, and we don't want that in BC.
Yeah.
You know, it really is something that needs to be discussed on both sides.
Yeah,
and I think both sides have points when it comes to, like, quote unquote trophy hunting, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely not for one or the other. Like, it's not like we want to wipe them off the face of the planet.
Of course not.
We just want to see a healthy population.
And the people that live around there, a lot of them depend on moose meat and deer meat. And these bear are going to decimate the populations. If they don't control the populations of bear, they will decimate.
Something else has got to change.
Yeah, they're going to decimate the game population for sure.
I actually think the areas that I hunt in Montana aren't overpopulated with grizzlies from what I've seen.
They're just populated.
They're just populated. You know, the place that I end up going into in Montana isn't my usual spot, you know, and there wasn't supposed to be as many grizzlies. And that was, you would have seen the video where I walk over the rise, and then all of a sudden we locked eyes at the same time, and then she, in a split second, she just comes straight at me. And I'll tell the story because heaps of people keep asking, but I'm one of these people that I practice with whatever I'm shooting with. Remember when the 3D leafy suits came out? It was like a camouflage suit, and it had like 3D leaves on it, hanging off it. And I got laughed at because I went to the archery range and shot in it. And the first time I shot in it, the string of the bow hit the leaves, and my shot was off. So
yeah, it's like a ghillie suit?
Yeah, ghillie suit. Like, just practice with whatever you're using. So my buddy's a sheriff in Idaho. He's going to lend me a handgun. So he lends me a handgun. I'm like, dude, I've never even shot a handgun. You just can't get them in Australia like that. So I want to practice. We went out and practiced. And we practiced with a cheaper bullet, you know, and it was like a solid bullet. And it was awesome. I picked it up straight away, and there was no dramas. I was a good shot with it. Just trying to do a rush shot, thinking if a bear ever gets you, it's going to be in a rush. It's not like these you know, pull the gun out and have a heap of time. So I was practicing shooting with one hand and everything like that. Anyway, when it come to going on the hunt, he gave me some expensive bullets, and they were a hollow point with like a real flat front on it. So we never shot those bullets. Anyway, this grizzly charged. I pulled the gun out. She stopped at 20 meters the first time. Like I stayed stationary. I didn't want to do any radical movements, but I just yelled at her. She stopped at 20 meters. She turned back and went to a cub. And at this point, a cub's just at the base of the tree. She got there. As soon as she seen that the cub was all right, she just come straight back at me again, like massive bear, like racing straight at me. I had the handgun, so the handgun's out now because I pulled it out the first time. This time she come all the way to 10 meters, and I'll leave this bit out just for now. I'll just tell her how it went. And I pulled the gun out. I yelled at her again like that. She stopped. She did a big swipe on the ground, spun around, and went straight back to the cub again. As soon as she got back to the cub, this time she ran to the side, like tried to flank me, you know. It freaks me out how fast these things can move. Like you've seen how fast a deer can get off the mark. I reckon a grizzly is faster than a deer. And you think of the size of a grizzly, and it can still move at the speed of a deer or faster. Like, and she just disappears into this. There's all this scrub beside me. I can't see, so I'm like standing there, like just waiting. Where's she gonna pop out? Because I thought the third time she ain't fucking around. She's gonna try and kill me the third time.
Right.
Anyway, she never showed up, and I stayed there for a little while. I'm like, just start backing up. And that's when I've got the camera out. Because the other thing I'm fearful of is shooting one and not being able to justify it.
Right.
Because people go to jail or get massive fines. So I'm like, I want to document this third time that she's coming. I'm probably going to pull the trigger. I want to document it. Anyway, I back out. She sort of stalks along a little bit, like watching me and stuff like that. Then she disappears and I walk away. And then I realise the gun's jammed. The gun's been jammed that whole time. And I was like, so if she did come for me, like truly come for me, I was fucked. Like there was no doubt about that.
How was it jammed? What was going on?
Those hollow points with the flat face on them wouldn't load up into the chamber of the gun. They hit on the throat of the revolver and won't go up in there.
So you never would have gotten off a shot?
I never would have gotten off a shot.
Oh, Jesus.
And then I was thinking, when the time that she come to 10 meters, because I thought she was going to jump me when she come that time, and I was like, fuck, I'm surprised the gun didn't go off because I'm sure I had the finger on the trigger. Like I just remember thinking, wait, and it happened that fast that I reckon that second time she come at me when she was about the 12 or 11 meter mark, or even when she just come past the original mark that she stopped at 20 meters, I reckon I pulled the trigger and it didn't go off. And I kept thinking, like, there's a slide lock on the gun, and I kept thinking that was jammed up, and it wasn't at all. It was the bullet.
Those bullets just didn't fit in that gun?
They didn't fit in there.
So you never practiced with them at all? So the entire time you were unarmed?
Yep, entire time I was unarmed. I bought bear spray from Cabela's, right? God. This I mean, it was like the world was fucking out to get me. I bought bear spray from Cabela's, and it's the only item the lady didn't put in the bag. Oh, and I got it there, and I unpacked the bags, and I'm like, where's the bear spray? Fuck, I don't even have the bear spray. Mate, so I was either going to, when she was on me, if I even had this chance, I was either going to pull an arrow out of the bow and just try and stab her, or I don't know. Or do you lay dead and cop it, or what?
They say with a female grizzly, you just try to lay dead because they're just trying to eliminate a threat to their cubs. I
feel like it'd be really hard to lay dead when something's scratching you up.
Yeah.
I feel like it'd just be instinct to try and go back at it, you know?
Oh, well, they're so goddamn powerful.
So that happened, and then I'm like, you know what? Like, I've got to hike out of there anyway. I'm unarmed. So I've got to hike out of there. I've got to get bullets from somewhere. I might as well go back to the fucking bad grizzly spot, you know, which at least I know there's elk there, but I've been trying to not do it, you know.
What caliber gun is this?
.45.
Okay, so it's a good gun.
Yeah, but the drama started way before then, because I'm like, if I'm going to do this hunt, I want to have someone with me, like a hunting buddy. I'm not going to do that one solo anymore.
Because of the grizzlies?
Because of the grizzlies. And so I invited Shane Doran, our buddy Shane. He was coming, and then the tags in Montana got really hard to get, so he couldn't get a tag. Then I was going to have Under Armour film the hunt, but they found out they couldn't film in a wilderness area, so they couldn't be there. And I'm just like, I'm just destined to go there by myself. And it was like, I already knew some shit was going to go down. You know, it was like everything kept pushing me in that direction. No, go back to Montana. You'll be right. You know, you're just going to encounter a grizzly. That's it. So
put this thing in front of your face. Don't put it by your neck. There you go.
Hello.
That's much better. There you go.
I think I might have been like this when I started the show, and now I've just come back up.
I think you're freaking out. That's what's going on.
I think I'm trying to get tall because I'm talking about grizzlies and trying to look big.
I'm getting goosebumps just hearing you talk. I'm getting nervous.
I watched a video probably a week ago, and it was just not of an attack or anything. It was just of a big grizzly, and I had all them feelings rush back to me. Like it was like I had a full adrenaline rush and everything, dude. Like my body was full pumping, and to the point I was starting to feel uncomfortable. I'm like, fucking, what's going on? I'm like, fuck. It was just that grizzly video and thinking about that grizzly running at me. I could see her as clear as day, still coming at me. I remember seeing her shoulders moving, dude, as she was just racing. I can just remember seeing her shoulders like pulsating, like, and all of her hair moving, and yeah.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah.
Did you, Ranella just released a podcast, 2 podcasts in a row. They got charged by a big male grizzly on Kodiak. They had killed an elk, not on Kodiak, a Fognac.
Yeah.
Which is one of the
I've seen
chains.
Remy's videos.
Yes.
Yeah.
They just did a podcast on 2 podcasts in a row, and they shot an elk. And the Fognac Islands, they have Roosevelt elk, which is a very large elk, and they're the biggest Roosevelt elks. It's a huge animal, like 1,400-pound animal, and it's crazy thick brush, and they're packing this thing out. It took forever, right? So they shot it. When they left some of it there, they went back to go get the elk, and a grizzly bear had obviously claimed it.
Yeah.
They didn't know. And they were hanging around, eating sandwiches. They didn't have their guns out, nothing. And the bear just came running in, just charged into all of them. One of the guys, Dirtmouth, wound up riding on the back of the bear. Fuck. It is a fucking crazy story. And they're talking about just a giant bear. 10, 11-foot grizzly bear.
This is, you know, when people are like, oh, do you believe in Bigfoot and stuff like that? We don't fucking have to. There's a real live monster, but we're just used to seeing it. We call it a grizzly bear, okay? It fucking can eat you.
Oh, it eats everything. It eats everything.
They're just savage, dude.
They're so big.
Yeah.
I don't think people understand how big they are. I haven't seen a big one in the U.S. in the wild, but I saw a small one in Alberta in the wild, and it scared the shit out of me.
The one that was on my elk carcass last year, and we spoke about it on last year's podcast. I remember thinking its face is bigger than my whole torso, dude. Yeah. And I'm just like that should be mythical, but it's fucking not. It's living here right now, and there's states that are protecting them. Yeah. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, they want to help the populations grow.
I think your vote would change really quickly about protecting them if it fucking ate your dog or one of your kids or tried to eat you.
Yeah. I think it would be very hard to get people to vote if it killed a dog.
Yeah.
Because people go, well, you know, they were here first. It's when they start getting into, you know, our friends up in Alberta, John and Jen Rivet, they sent me some pictures recently of some bears that had moved into the area.
Yeah, because they've been pushed out of their good area by grizzlies, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of grizzlies.
Yeah.
A lot of grizzlies up there. And apparently they're talking about having some sort of a season on them because people are encountering them on a more frequent basis. But again, that area where they live up in Alberta is just so dense. The woods, it's so dense.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out how many bears are there, where the bears are.
So that's a good system when they put that time and effort into finding the numbers. Like, this is why the American system's the best hunting system I've ever come across. Because so you do a numbers check, and then you release the tags for what can be taken out of the population to keep the population healthy still.
And it's all done by wildlife biologists.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's all done
There's a heap of revenue there. It's an awesome system, you know.
Well, billions of dollars a year come from hunting revenue in this country that go to wildlife preservation, that go to conservation of habitat. You know, Backcountry Hunters and Anglers has a great website where all this stuff is detailed, and Rocky Mountain Elk Federation does a similar thing. It's just they have just the detailed numbers on how much money goes into conserving these areas and even repopulating these animals in other areas.
Yeah, it's a brilliant system. So, but there has to be that two sides, because you can't go fully one way or fully the other. Because if it goes fully one way and we try and friggin' wipe them out, no one wants that.
Right.
So there's got to be that middle ground there where I think what we say the greenies fight for as well, you know, and then it's like, well, we you know, we can afford to shoot, you know, 200 of those grizzly bears out of the 10,000 that live there or whatever it is, crazy numbers, then that's the system we want. So it's healthy populations of game every single year for generations to come.
Healthy populations of game and making sure that these giant predators don't encroach on civilization.
Yeah,
That's the thing, is like keeping them out. Once they start wiping out all the moose and all the deer and all the elk, they're going to move towards people. Like people need to understand that this is not a game.
Yeah.
Like you don't encounter them in Santa Monica, right?
Yeah.
So people are like, you know, you assholes, just trying to kill animals. That's not what these people are doing. You don't understand. You never
exactly, yeah.
Like you could tell them. I mean, maybe they've heard you. Like, be around them and understand what the fuck this is.
Yeah,
this
exactly,
is a giant 1,500-pound monster.
Yeah, that doesn't think like, oh, that dude that I'm going to eat might have kids. You know, they're just thinking food.
Yeah, but
I've got a hole in my stomach and I want to fill it.
The greenies would say, well, that elk you killed has kids too, man.
Fuck, why aren't these greenies out there petitioning against fucking lions killing shit?
Why aren't they? Yeah, right.
Why aren't they? Like, lions are killing shit.
We were just talking
about
that.
We're just part of the food chain as well, dude. We're part of this whole system.
Courtney DeWalter on the podcast, I was talking to her about, you know, like people occasionally when they're running these trails, they run into mountain lions. We were talking about this lady who lives in Malibu who has an alpaca farm. A mountain lion got into alpacas, killed 11 of them, and a goat. Just wiped them out. Just fucking decimated the population. You know,
that was frill killing.
And so this lady got a depredation permit to kill the mountain lion, and she got all these death threats from people.
Yeah, right.
But it's always like, do you understand that this mountain lion is killing animals too?
Yeah.
Way more animals than this lady wants to kill.
I can't understand it.
Well, it's not logical. It's just emotional. Yeah. And I think a big part of the problem there's two parts of the problem. One, a lack of real wilderness exposure, like real time in the woods, understanding what this whole ecosystem is really all about, because it's just a predator-prey ecosystem. And when a hunter goes into that, you're really just dipping your toes into the wild world for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the other part of it is movies. All these fucking bear movies where the bears are your friends, they talk to each other, and all these anthropomorphization movies. You know, whether it's Bambi or whether, you know,
there's no
Yogi
realism
Bear.
in there. Whereas if you go out into the woods and see it yourself, you know, it's a much better understanding and a much better experience for the person.
Way more people get exposed to these movies where the bears talk.
Yeah.
And they're your buddy, than get exposed to an actual charge from a fucking mama grizzly bear like you did.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
And nobody wants to kill those bears. I mean, that's not what we're saying. Nobody wants to wipe them out.
I didn't look at that mother grizzly and be like, I want to shoot you. If you look at the video, you'll actually hear me going, I really don't want to shoot this bear. Like, she's just doing what her instinct tells her.
Yeah.
I'm not even cranky at her, but I don't want to fucking die.
Right.
So
that's a terrible way to die, too.
That'd be a horrible way to die.
A jaw the size of this table closing down on you.
Wouldn't be good.
Ooh. Yeah, well, they're going to open up a season apparently on them near Yellowstone. They're having too many situations.
Yeah,
more and more bears.
Yeah, that's roughly the area that I'm near, and that's where they release a lot of the problem bears.
They do?
That's where they do. Yeah,
they release problem bears.
But then, I went to an area that they didn't release problem bears, because I never see a female grizzly where I usually hunt in Montana. They're all males or all lone animals at least, and I can't tell.
And the males are less likely to charge you.
Well, it seems like it.
Yeah, it seems like the males. Well, if a male charges you, it's to eat you.
Yeah, because, you know, I yelled at that one on my carcass last year, and he wanted to go the other way, and he did. He ran off and friggin' disappeared.
And it's interesting because Montana does not have a bear season.
Yeah.
So these are not animals like Alaska bears avoid people like the plague.
Exactly, yeah.
Because they're afraid of being shot.
Yeah, so he, ran off. I think I only yelled out oi to him, you know, that one last year, and he disappeared. This female grizzly that was running at me, I was calling her a fucking mole and everything, mate.
Mole?
A mole.
What's a mole?
I knew that was an Australian word.
What does that mean? Like a bitch?
So me and my buddy Andrew Ukles, who I've just spent the last week with him in the Arnhem Land in the Northern Territory, you'll just be sitting in the vehicle driving along and it's all quiet and peaceful, and then he'll just come up with something weird like, you know, if you had to bring any actor back from the dead to hunt with you for a week, who would it be? I'm like, fuck, I need some time to think about that. But then I come up with one because I'm like, he's coming up with all this shit. I'm going to come up with one. I'm like, over this trip, we just need to come up with real Australian sayings that aren't getting used anymore. And mine was like, ta-da. Like, do you have that one? Like, if you say bye to someone, instead of saying bye, you just say ta-da. Oh, I'm fucking getting blank stares here.
Ta-da is like a magician would say ta-da.
Nah, it's like ta-da, like as in see you later.
No, ta-ta for now.
What about hooray?
Hooray, hooray.
No, just as in hooray, bye.
No.
Oh, fuck.
No, hooray is like victory.
Okay, well, mole is like calling someone a bitch or a skank.
A mole.
You got skank?
Yes.
Yeah.
Got a lot of skanks.
Yeah, so she's running at me. I'm like, fucking ease up, you fucking mole, you know?
Oh.
And then
she's like, where the fuck is this guy from? That's probably why she didn't eat you.
Yeah,
she was from here.
She didn't even say this, but I imagine she was thinking I don't speak English.
He's probably like, he doesn't even know what a bear is. This is dummy. He's just living around kangaroos and shit. But, no, I've never heard of a mole before.
Yeah, right.
Is it mall, like a mall of America?
M-O-L-E.
Mole.
Like Molly.
I get it.
Yeah, but I think it's more of like mole on your face. He's brought it up.
M-O-L-L. Slang. Ooh. Slang term. Two different, only
M-O-L.
Australia. Australia and New Zealand. Oh, in the United States. Usually a pejorative or self-deprecating for a woman of loose sexual morals.
Oh, shit.
A bitch.
I said bitch.
Slut or a prostitute.
Oh, damn, no wonder she was pissed off.
Wow. Mole.
Mole, yeah.
That's probably like some old shit from America that we we gave to you a long time ago and we abandoned it. Then you guys picked it up.
Probably.
So when you went and got bullets, so you went and got bullets for the 45.
So then I went and bought bullets, jumped straight back into Montana, but my old spot in Montana. And then I only had 3 days at that point to try and, because, I was after a bull elk. And I'd passed up a lot of younger animals and like immature animals over that time. But I went from the hot heat got to my usual spot in Montana and just whited out with snow.
And explain that to people too, because for people that aren't hunters, it is very important if you want to consider the overall health of the herd. You always want to shoot the older, mature animals because those are the ones that are bred.
Yeah.
And they've passed on their genetics. And it also improves the health of the herd because then the younger males who would probably get killed by the bigger males or have the potential of getting killed in combat when they clash. And that's the whole reason, if people don't know, why they have antlers to fight each other.
Exactly, yeah. I think my biggest thought in that is I just want to shoot an animal that's lived its life. Mm-hmm. Like, look, if I'm desperate for meat, don't get me wrong, I'll shoot a spike or a cow or whatever, but I'm not desperate for meat in that point of survival, So I just feel a lot better if I shoot an animal that I'm like, it's lived its life.
Right.
And then the byproduct of that is you get a bigger animal, so more meat.
Yeah.
You get a set of antlers, which is, to me, a memory. It's not like I don't cut the head off and just walk out with the antlers. It's like I've got a trophy, and I think a lot of people think that. For me, it's a way of respect.
People.
Yeah, it's a way of respecting the animal to me. So it's a funny thing, but yeah, just shooting a big old, and that's why I passed a lot of younger animals. I had opportunities. There was one day I was right on the edge of this, like it was like a cliff, but there was a rock that went out over the cliff, like a bit of a pinnacle. And I was actually on the pinnacle, and I had this bull straight below me, and he was like, I think he was 30 something meters, but because you're shooting down, it's like, the rangefinder's saying shoot it at 16 or 17 meters.
Right.
And he was just laying there, had no idea I was there. But just a younger bull, you could see it in his face and his body and just his antlers. But it felt good to be there and then be like, nah, and back out. And then it was that afternoon, I think, that grizzly went me. So, I had opportunities to shoot bulls, but I pretty much went 21 days without an opportunity where I'm like, this is the bull that I'm going to shoot, and I'm getting into the zone.
Yeah, that's the thing that people, I think, on the outside don't understand or appreciate is that it's not just about getting meat. It's also about getting a mature animal, and it's also about getting a mature animal because they're way more difficult to hunt.
Exactly, yeah.
They're way smarter.
They've been through seasons, they're just heaps more switched on, they are a lot smarter. So it's like going into a fight. Like, you don't want to go into a fight with someone that's never done kickboxing and you're the champion kickboxer. Like, that's ridiculous.
Right.
Like, where's the challenge in that? How are you going to be better at doing what you're doing if you're just fighting the fight that you're always going to win?
Yeah.
And then I say it very early in that trip, I'm happy to go home without a bull, but I'm not happy to give up on day 3 or 4 or sit around camp and then go home without a bull. I want to bust my ass. You know, I want to get to the point where I say to myself, and I did it multiple times on this trip, what the fuck are you doing? Like, give up. This is too hard, you know. I want to get to that point, wear myself right down, because I feel like that's the most you ever grow, you know, in any sort of hardship. But, you know, it's like freaking Cam Haines running this. Like, you know, he's just going to find a longer marathon next time.
Well, that's what Courtney was saying, that they're considering a 500 mile run. 500 miles.
I can't even fathom that, dude.
Yeah, I mean, how many days would that take?
I can't even fathom going
That's like
without
6-7 days. That's probably like a week. It's probably going to be a week of running.
Yeah. So it's just, you're always upping it, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I've got to pull back a little bit now. Like, I don't. Like, that's about the maximum that I'll do. And I'm happy
how many days? You were 28 days?
I did 22.
22.
Yeah. And then, but it was a lot longer without the family because, you know, the flight's here and the flight's back.
Right.
And I was with Yeti and I did the whole Yeti thing and went to the Innovation Center and hung out with Yeti for like a couple of days. Me and Benny O'Brien went down to West Texas, hunted some axis deer. I went bass fishing. So there was like a week and a half on that trip that probably a lot of people didn't realize, that I'm without my kids and family, you know. That's the hard bit. I could go and live out there like a friggin' hermit, but I got family and I friggin' love them and I miss them, dude. You know what I mean? I'm saying to Kim, I'm like, you fuck this for me, because I'm sitting on the mountain like, you know, I'm in my element up there. Like, it's out in the middle of nowhere. There's no people. There's no lights. You know, there's just wild animals running around. And I'm sitting on the mountain. I'm like, fuck, I miss Kim.
But don't you think that that's one of the reasons why you appreciate them even more? I mean, obviously 100%. You appreciate your family so much as it is, but I said once to Steve Ranella, we did this crazy hunt in Prince of Wales and it rained every day and it was we were just drenched where you're inside your tent and the tent, like I turned on my headlamp and there was just water vapor everywhere in the tent, like nothing ever dried out. Your sleeping bag's wet, your clothes are wet, just miserable. But when I got home, I called him up and I said, man, I have never felt this good. I'm so happy. The sun is out and I'm driving and I just feel amazing. I feel like I'm on a drug. And I called him up and I go, dude, I've never been happier.
Yeah, crazy.
Because
the more miserable it is, the better, you know. And
you have to experience some difficulty and some hardship in order to appreciate the good times.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like freaking with Kim, it's like we're newlyweds all the time. And it's probably because I'm away so much. But every time I come home, you know, every time I'm away, I'm thinking about him flat out, you know. I actually just renewed my vows with Kim. 15 years married, 18 years together.
Yeah, I think that there's something to that, man. I mean, people, you know, absence makes the heart grow fonder. It's a common expression.
Yeah,
I think it's totally true. And I think that I don't think life is supposed to be easy. I just think,
no, it's not.
I think you're supposed to do some difficult shit.
But I think the sooner you realize that, then it does seem easy. Like, does that make sense? It's like the sooner you realize that life's supposed to be fucking tough, and if it's not, put yourself through some tough shit, then the better, dude. Yeah. Then it's just right now I feel like I've found the recipe just to be happy as hell. I've been saying it the last friggin' month, like, I don't want this to happen, but I've been saying to Kim, and she sort of gets teared up, fucking just know I'm happy to die right now. Like, and I really mean that. I'm happy to fucking die right now. I want to see my kids grow, and I want to see my kids have kids, and I want to spend eternity with that woman, but I'm fucking happy to die right now. I'm that happy.
Now, why do you think like that?
Because I feel like I've just lived a thorough life already, and
But you still enjoy it.
Regrets. Yeah, so I still enjoy it.
Why be happy to die?
Because I'm fucking happy.
Because you're crazy.
Probably. I ain't doing anything out of the ordinary to fucking die, but...
Right.
Yeah,
well,
a little bit, but that's just normal.
Dancing with bears with a fucked up gun.
That's just the fucked up gun bit. That's probably not good. But
Jesus Christ, did you get back and tell that dude who gave you the 45, hey, fuckface?
Yeah, he was freaking. They're the most nicest people. It was Kay and Ed that were in.
Oh, really?
Friggin', yeah, they're the nicest people, and I think Ed was freaking more than me. I'm like, it's all good, but fuck.
Yeah, fuck, indeed. Jesus Christ. To know that you had the gun and you had it out and there was nothing there.
And it wouldn't,
Oof,
yeah,
see that.
And then so I had to sleep there that night because I wasn't walking out in the dark. And the worst thing is I'm sleeping on the at the elevation that she's at, and she's only about 400 meters in a direct line from my camp.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude.
So,
how did you sleep?
Well, so I manually put a shell in the chamber, so I had one shell, and I actually slept really good that night. I don't know if it was adrenaline wearing off and it wore me out more.
Were you convinced that it was going to fire even with that one shell in the chamber?
Yeah, it would have. Because
it just wouldn't have loaded up.
Yeah, so I couldn't have the magazine in there because it would jam on the bullet, but I could drop a shell in there manually, and that'd be good to go.
One.
I had one bullet. Yeah.
Russian roulette with bears.
Just not fucking good. I had me knife out that night as well, like sleeping with me and shit like that.
How long is your knife?
No, fuck all.
3 inches?
Yeah.
God, dude.
She's probably thinking it's a mosquito bite if it
she's not
comes
even
to
going
it.
to notice.
Nah.
They're fucking thick. Their skin is so thick.
Yeah.
Because they bite each other.
Yeah.
I watched that Grizzly Man documentary, and one of the craziest things was watching the two grizzlies fight. They were just tearing each other apart, biting each other's heads. And when it was over, it didn't look like anything happened to either one of them. It would have tore us to shreds.
A buddy that's had really good experience in Northwest Territories, where there's black bears and grizzlies living in the same area. He's experienced the two fighting, and it's never like the black bear going to the grizzly. It's always the grizzly running down the black bear. He said one swipe from a grizzly bear, you know how big a black bear is.
Yeah.
One swipe from a grizzly bear, and the black bear, it mightn't be dead, but it's fucking disabled, mate. One swipe. So imagine what one swipe from a grizzly would do to us.
There's a picture of Cam Haines and a grizzly that he shot in Alaska, and he's holding up its paw.
It's and I know the photo.
The bear that he shot was like 11 feet tall. And he's holding up its paw, and the paw is like a fucking dinner plate.
Scary, eh?
It's like this big.
Yep.
Maybe bigger than a dinner plate.
Imagine that bitch slap, followed by claws, dude.
There it is.
Straight after it, yeah.
Look at the size of that thing.
Fuck the paw. Look at the teeth on that bloke.
The claws, yeah. Oh,
no,
Cam's teeth. Cam's teeth, and not again.
You're
obsessed
with
Cam's white teeth.
I want them.
Well, you could just get that charcoal toothpaste, polish them away.
I've got it. It ain't
Doesn't
fucking working.
Do you drink coffee?
Yeah, I do.
I wonder if he drinks coffee too, though. He drinks coffee.
Yeah, but his coffee must have bleach in it instead of milk.
They are fucking enormous animals. But like you said, I mean, that really is a real, live, living monster.
Yeah, crazy, eh? I love that dude there. I'm just having a joke about his teeth. He's a fucking legend.
He's the best.
Yeah.
But, John Dudley saw a grizzly bear take out a moose with one swipe. He saw it through a spotting scope. He saw a grizzly bear hit a moose in the back and break its spine. They hit
insane.
Things.
Yeah.
They're probably one of the few animals that like hits.
Yeah, so what chance have we got? You might
zero.
You're a bit meatier than me.
Fucked. Come on, man. If it breaks the back of a moose, it'll just cave my skull in.
Yeah.
They're just so big. They're so goddamn big.
Friggin' living Bigfoot, dude.
Yeah, fuck Bigfoot.
Right there. Yeah.
Bigfoot's only supposed to be like an 8-foot tall monkey.
They probably fucking wipe Bigfoot out.
Yeah. They probably fucked Bigfoot. Fucked them all to death.
Like this fucking werewolf fucking this gorilla over here on your table.
Well, what's crazy is that's a small bear compared to the short-faced bear. Or short-nosed bear? What was it? What was that bear that lived in the...
I've seen the photo
short-faced bear, they think they call it.
Yeah.
Which is bigger even than a polar bear. Bigger than a Kodiak bear. There's a picture of these guys standing next to a... that's it.
That's the one.
Picture.
Holy shit, that's scary.
And that thing had long legs.
Yeah.
And that thing apparently was so fast and so ferocious that it kept people from crossing the Bering Land Bridge. Like, that's one of the reasons why they think that it took so long for human beings to make it to North America.
Its paws as big as that dude's chest there. The bigger dude.
That is, look how much bigger they are than anything else.
Yeah.
There's a grizzly, polar, and then the polar's big daddy.
So how long have they been extinct for?
I think 10,000 years.
Yeah, okay.
I think that was find out if that's the case, Jamie. Find out when. But there's a picture of... 7 facts about the extinct giant bear. 11,000 years.
Wow.
Go back to that last page you were at, please, and look at that one image.
It's really not that long.
The guy up in the right-hand corner with the guy touching the face.
Oh,
look
yeah.
at that. That's what they used to look like. I mean, God damn it.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a monster. That's a monster from Avatar or from Star Wars. And that's a real animal that lived alongside people for a long-ass time.
But see what I mean? If they were just running around in the wild still, we'd just have a normal name for them and it wouldn't be any different because we're used to seeing them, dude. It's like the galaxy. Like, you're used to looking out at, say, the Milky Way. So it's like, oh, cool. Fuck off. Have a think about that.
Yeah.
That is freaky, dude.
Oh, yeah. I've always said that if space wasn't real, like if there was a roof over the world, but there was one place where you could go where you could see space, everybody would want to take a trip to that spot.
Oh, yeah, 100%, yeah. And it's out there for all of us to look at. You just got to get away from some of these shitty lights.
Well, you have some amazing pictures.
I just
on
put
First
one up.
Man Image. Go to first.man.image on Instagram. Adam is not just an amazing bow hunter, but an amazing photographer.
Yeah, I just added one today, because when you're out there in Arnhem Land, like there's no light pollution for a long, long way.
God.
Yeah, look at that. So if you look closely at that picture, so the orange light's the fire, but see the clouds in the background? There's just a campfire that we had. But if you look behind that, that's lightning in them clouds there. So I end up getting the fire, the lightning, and then the Milky Way blazing through there.
God, that is an amazing picture, man. That is amazing.
Isn't it? I'm just, dude, I can't, like, I'm there and I don't go to sleep till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning because I'm just laying there looking up or taking photos and I'm just like, what's out there? Like, how crazy is that?
That picture is incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So beautiful. So that's over our heads every night. That's another thing that you just sort of take for granted, you know?
Yeah, and like you said, the light pollution. I mean, we love cities. They're nice. They give you, supermarkets and restaurants and shit, but they also ruin your view of the universe.
Totally.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it, eh?
Like, the trade-off is almost not worth it.
Yeah. I feel like we're just all fucking pigs now because there's so many options out there in food, and I reckon our taste buds have changed and everything. Well, no doubt our taste buds have changed.
For sure.
Because stuff back then wouldn't be bland, but if you just ate those real simple items now, it'd be bland as hell. I need sauce on it. I need to put salt on it. I need to do this, and and then I just feel like we're turning into friggin' pigs because there's so many options for food out there that we just keep shoveling and we just take it all for granted as well.
100%.
But I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. Like we were talking about getting dinner after this. Like we're going to go to a restaurant, sit down. And just,
exactly.
Yeah, not think about it at all.
Well, how good is that? Yeah, I know.
It's amazing.
But when I come back from this 22 days, dude, I was fantasizing over foods. I put the 17 kilos straight back on.
What were you thinking of?
Just fucking anything.
Like what was the one? Is there one thing you're like, as soon as I get back?
Any burger, but like a full works burger, like a jerk burger that's just packed.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of places that me and Kim usually go at home, and I was just dying. Like, I'm about to salivate, sorry. Like, food is so good.
Right? Both. The time spent away and the time in civilization. That's the thing, is achieving balance.
Yeah, just getting the balance. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because the civilization is awesome. It's great to be able to go to a doctor.
Yeah, and when you get away from all that and you are out in the wilds, then you fully realise, like, fuck, how good do we have it?
Yeah.
Like, you hop in a car with air conditioning, you drive from point A to point B, like, and I always think about how life must have been back in the day. Like, it wasn't driving from point A to point B because that might have taken fucking a week, dude.
Yeah.
Now you just jump in a car and go. It's all temperature controlled. You stop at a service station, you get fuel. Fucking, I'm thirsty. I'm going to get a drink while I'm in there. Like, that's just one example how crazy it is.
Yeah. Now, when you are in the bush, especially when you're in Arnhem Land, you find a lot of pictographs and a lot of these.
Yeah, because there was such a huge indigenous population up there. Well, there still is, but you're looking at. I put one up the other day. It's a video. It's just in the Insta story, so Jamie won't find it, but. Me and Eucles are looking at some paintings, and then I look down, I'm like, there's a whole human remains tucked in the rocks there, wrapped in paper bark, which is do you have paper bark in America, a type of tree?
I don't think so.
They call it paper bark because it's like the bark literally rips off it like a soft tissue paper. And so some mobs, like indigenous people, would wrap their dead in that. No,
mob is what the indigenous people call, like, a group of them.
Well,
like
you'd say tribe here.
You were talking a mob of hogs earlier.
Yeah.
You said that.
So a mob's a group of indigenous.
That's what they call themselves, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
And
so they don't like the term like tribe or anything like that, because that's very American for your Indians and things like that.
So they would say like, wouldn't they? And they here. I wanted to really get into this because this is some stuff we talked about at my house after we did the podcast last time. Oh wow! Look at those pictures. That's amazing.
Yeah. So they're a real beautiful race, and they were very. I don't know if I'd call them artistic, because this just seemed to be what they did. You know, whether it's their dream time, you would have heard about their dream time. So whether it's recording their dream time, you know, the Indigenous would do these rock arts. And sometimes they'd be carvings. So if you go to like the Dampier Archipelago in Western Australia, which is in the Pilbara region, they're all carvings in rock, like literally scribed in the rock. And the detail that you'd get, like it's so hard to describe in a rock, they'd get this detail in this rock that was just amazing. These are paintings where they'd grind up different stones and get different texture and colours, and see those handprints. Those handprints have been put up, their hands go on the wall and then they spray it out of their mouth, so they make like a liquid form. And essentially it's like spray painting, you know, but they're using their mouth. Those other ones would be painted on, and you see some really crazy things. Like I reckon that's an emu, that white thing, if you have a good look at it. There's so many paintings on there. That's a picture that I took a couple of years ago now, but there's so many paintings on there now that you have to stare at it for a while and then pick a different one out, you know. And like,
are these documented?
So these ones aren't. So I'm one of about 2 white fellas that have been to this area, and a traditional elder took us there, like a traditional owner took us up there. She couldn't go up there, and the only reason we were allowed in there was because this mob of people, that they don't exist anymore. The last of them's passed away, so it was okay to go in there. So to take you into the full story, we'd like beaten down this bush track for hours and hours, and we pull up at a little creek system. And she just sort of pointed it out. She said, look, if you go up to the escarpment there and into a cave or whatever, you'll see, you know, the artifacts and everything that's up there. And this is untouched, like crazily untouched, this spot. You know, you go in there and it's like a friggin' lost city, but all natural, like rocks just pushed up out of the ground. And then you see the mouth of the cave and a couple of paintings on it. Then you walk into the cave, and this cave is 60, 70 metres long. It's probably 30 metres wide. And the roof's probably, let's say, 10 metres tall. And the whole way through this cave system's those paintings. Like, you can't even, how'd they even reach the top of the cave? Like, there's no big rocks or anything sitting around anymore. There's still the grinding stones there, Joe, where they were grinding up the different paints, you know, because that's what they'd do. They'd grind it up and work it into a paste to paint with. That's all still sitting there. And there's 30 human remains just sitting in the cave in a pile there as well.
Whoa.
And so the Indigenous story goes, you know, and this might be a part of the Dreamtime. I don't want to get this bit wrong, but it might be a part of like a Dreamtime story and how it happened. But the Dreamtime story is the kids descended from the cave from the escarpment down onto the flats. And the kids were told not to kill any serpents, like don't kill a snake, you know, they were off limits. And the kids go down there and they can't find anything to eat, and they find a serpent, like a young snake. So they grab the snake and they cut its head off, and it doesn't die. It keeps squiggling and moving around. And then, so they keep chopping it up. They chop it into little bits and it keeps squiggling around and won't die. They bash it with a rock and it won't die. It keeps squiggling around. Then they throw it in a fire, and the fire still doesn't kill it. It's just in pain and it's squirming and squiggling around. Then the mother serpent, you know, heard this commotion. The kids go back up to the escarpment and into the cave, but the mother serpent comes up, and there never used to be a creek there, and she came up with such a rage that she carved the creek through the land. So this is how a lot of their Dreamtime stories go. And so she carved that creek in that we're actually camped on. She went up, she found the people in the cave after finding her young dead, and she lit a fire all the way around them. She raced them into the cave and she burned them out, and she burned them to death. So that, you know, that's the Indigenous story. The white fella story is the Indigenous, and I'm not saying one's true or one's not true, but I'll tell you how the story goes. The white fella story is that was one of the first cattle stations in the Northern Territory of Australia, and the Indigenous were picking off cattle to eat, you know, and they wouldn't have known any different, right? It's an animal. And the station owners found this out. they found out where the Indigenous were living, and they took them food as a gift, but it was all laced with poison, and they end up all dying in the cave. So, you know, there's two versions of the story.
Obviously.
Yeah.
It's the second one.
Yeah, I don't want to say because who friggin' knows, but
well, I definitely know that a snake isn't going around lighting fires.
Yeah, probably not, but
I know what you're saying. You're being respectful.
Yeah, if you listen to enough Dreamtime stories, you know, and that, like, they were there for a long time, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, here, they were so good at hunting because, you know, a lot of people say, oh, the Indigenous didn't come up with the bow and arrow. They didn't need to. Like, why invent something you didn't need? They were so good with boomerangs and spears and, you know, the way that they hunted that they didn't need a bow and arrow, you know. It was insane. So they're a beautiful race, but they're still very young to Western society, you know. I think we spoke about this last time. Jamie, can you find out how old... Well, when was, like, the Northern Territory of Australia really pioneered? Because that's the population of Indigenous that we're talking about. They've been thrown into this Western society, you know, that we've come through slowly with, you know, essentially they were still in the Stone Age because, you know, that's all they needed.
Northern Territory in 1825, the area occupied today in the Northern Territory is part of the colony of New South Wales. It was first settled by Europeans in 1824 at Fort Dundas, Port Essington. In 1863, control of the area was given to South Australia.
So isn't that crazy? It's not even 200 years old, dude.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And so these people have been there for how many thousands of years before that?
Let's look that up too, because I don't want to get it wrong.
Yeah. And one of the things that you were telling me that I thought was really fascinating, we were just hanging out at my house, was how many different languages they have.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like, I think there's over 700 dialects, and you could literally have a mob of Indigenous on this part of the mainland, and just a little bit further down, another mob of Indigenous, and they wouldn't speak the same language.
It says the Northern Territory provides evidence of settlement around 60,000 years ago.
I think it's just been blown right out of the water, and it's a lot longer than that now.
Really?
Yep.
Recently?
Yep, just recently.
Yeah, I remember reading something about that. That's right.
What's the date on that?
It was like super recently, like a week ago or something.
Yeah,
right?
so this, and there's so there's now findings to suggest that Egyptians come over at some point, especially these two brothers. And one of the brothers, there's a story that goes, one of the brothers was really sick, and you know he had to look after him, and I can't remember how it ends, but you know that Egyptians had come here just because of some of the signs that they found, and like there was like a story noted down on some rocks and things like that. So it's really crazy, the history behind Australia, when you think of it like that, and when you think of how young it is.
Here it goes: Aboriginal architectural discovery in, how do you say that word? Kakadu.
Kakadu, yep.
Kakadu rewrites the history of Australia. Northern Territory Aboriginal people have lived in Australia a minimum of 65,000 years. A team of archaeologists has established 18,000 years longer than had been proved previously, and at least 5,000 years longer than had been speculated by the most optimistic researchers. Wow.
Crazy, eh?
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That's a long fucking time, man.
It's a long time.
65,000 years.
There's a story about the Dampier Archipelago area in the Pilbara. That's what I mentioned earlier. That's right near where I have my business. And there's over 70,000 rock arts on the archipelago itself. They still don't know the significance of it. 70,000. Wow. But there's a story that goes, the Indigenous that lived on the mainland were so much different than the people that lived on the islands. They called them the canoe people or the boat people, that if those canoe or boat people ever come near the mainland, the Indigenous mob that lived on the mainland would clear out of there, mate. They'd get out of there because they were so different. The way they lived, the way they spoke, the way they looked was so different that it was like a foreign person to them, and they were scared of them.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's just amazing how many different dialects.
It's insane, isn't it?
You were saying that you could just go a couple kilometers away and they spoke a totally different way.
Yep, that's correct.
And they couldn't understand each other.
Nope, they couldn't understand each other. So with my business, like I've been very fortunate to work closely with a lot of Indigenous people, whether it's Arnhem Land, where I go hunting a lot, or it's with my business, because in my business I've got a joint venture with an Indigenous business owner, which is she's a lovely woman. She's awesome. And I also have a thing where I employ at least 25% local Indigenous people. And I actually usually blow that out to 50% at sometimes, which is awesome, you know.
Is this a deal that's mandated by a treaty or the government?
Not really. The mining companies that I work for would prefer an Indigenous joint venture owner of 25%. Then what I've taken on is through myself is just I want the 25% or more Indigenous employees as well, local Indigenous people. So I've been close to a lot of them, and you hear a lot of their different stories. But one of the things is where my business is, the woman has the say in the relationship, everything financial, everything like that. But just 2 hours away, it's the complete opposite, and the man has the say in everything. So, and like that's just 2 hours away. But anyway, some of these Indigenous, you know, have married into, you know, someone from 2 hours away, like the Pilbara region, and they're always like, "Oh, can we move back to like Onslow, where the man gets to say?" It's really really funny. But I'm just like, but in my relationship, it's whoever's the most fucking pissed off in the day gets to say.
You're both a little bit of both then. So that's interesting. So if they moved, then they would switch roles.
Full switches, and that happens all the time.
So they just accept it.
Yeah, they just accept it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the whole tribe agrees.
Yeah, that's the whole mob agrees. Yeah.
That never exists in like America.
It doesn't. It probably doesn't run so smoothly there either.
Well,
but
who knows?
The other real, and it's really hard for a lot of Westerners to understand, is so I'll tell you one story about old Kevin, traditional owner that I go hunting out on his land. He's been out on camp with me for, you know, a couple of weeks, and he hasn't had anything but water and like a bit of red meat that I've shot him and stuff like that. And fish that he's been catching for himself. Anyway, he's got family coming out, and he says, you know, gives them a little grocery list that they could bring from town for him. Anyway, they bring out the groceries, and like, and I'm thinking like he hasn't had anything to really drink, or, you know, he's just had the real basic stuff for a fair while. They get there, nothing's been taken out of the bags, but once they hand it to him, they just start reaching. Whatever he's grabbed out, they reach, and like, so he got a couple of bottles of Coke. And all the kids and relatives are drinking the Coke, and like they leave him with about this much Coke. He gets a pack of cigarettes, all these hands go in, they grab cigarettes. He doesn't look at them once. Like, he doesn't go to say, no, like I haven't had a smoke for a couple of weeks or a drink for a couple of weeks. Doesn't even blink, dude, or anything. Just everyone takes, and they just leave him with a little bit. And I was thinking, fuck, if that was me, I'd be like, oi, I haven't had a friggin' cigarette I don't smoke, but I haven't had a cigarette for a couple of weeks. Like, ease up. And it didn't bother him one bit, because that's how they are. But when one of them has something that he doesn't have, he's quite welcome to reach in and grab whatever he wants as well.
They say that was an issue with Native Americans as well, that they didn't understand property.
Yeah, don't understand property, and just sharing's what they do. And
yeah, it's just normal.
Yeah.
But it was, this property thing came out of the Europeans.
Yeah,
and they didn't understand, so they would do the same thing. They would take the animals or take the food, and it was normal to them.
Yeah,
or so, if someone had left something. Some of the accounts of European settlers would talk about that, how Native Americans seem to have no understanding at all of why people would be upset that someone would take their property.
Yeah, and you see that in a few of the movies as well, that they've kept that dialect. But the other thing that I was going to say is it's something to be like, I envy it. You know, like we used to talk about going on walkabout and things like that. Like a lot of the guys that I would get their first pay, and then not show up to work the next morning, and like come back 2 months later and just walk straight into the depot like, hey boss. And I'd be like, I haven't seen you for a couple of months, mate. Like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm here for work. What? No, I haven't seen you. Because they'd get their paycheck, and they'd just be happy and go off with it for those couple of months or whatever. And they're not all like that, but a lot of them would do that. And it took me a long time to understand, especially being a business owner and just wanting everything to run nice and smooth, that's just how a lot of them are, you know. And it is something to be envious about, because the other thing that would happen is, and the mine sites were pushing for Indigenous employees at this time, and I'd load them up with Indigenous employees. Then there'd be a death, you know, in the family, and a funeral. They won't bury their dead until everyone from the mob's there. So, and because some of them live so far out in bush, you know, it could take a week for a funeral, or some funerals go for weeks and weeks, months, dude. and these guys wouldn't show up, and I'd have the client ringing me up saying, you know, like, what's going on? You guys aren't here today. Well, if you want Indigenous employees and Indigenous business, this is what happens. You need to understand their culture. Now, there's been a lot of cultural awareness. A lot of cultural awareness has gone out there to the mine sites that now they're all understanding that as well. So they know if there's a funeral on that, they're not going to have their Indigenous people there anymore.
So the Indigenous people haven't adjusted?
No, they haven't. No, they have to a certain degree on some things, but not a lot. And they shouldn't have to either.
Right.
Yeah.
But when they take off, they don't get paid.
They don't get, no, shit, no.
Yeah.
You got to get work.
But
you got to work to get paid on my club.
When a guy goes off on a walkabout and comes back 2 months later, do you just take him back in?
I am now. Yeah, we usually do if we've got the work.
So now you just
because it's cultural awareness. I'm aware of how their culture is, and
wow,
yeah,
that's interesting because whenever an invasive culture moves into an indigenous culture, there's this battle, right?
Yeah.
Try to figure out whose lifestyle wins out.
Yeah.
And that's decimated the Native Americans.
I think in all of the cities and more populated places in Australia, it definitely has. You know, but I've just been lucky enough to go into some of these remote areas where that's not the case still. Yeah. And like I said, you look in on them and you're just like, fuck, I wish I could live my life like that.
Yeah.
It's like they don't want some of the things that we want, you know.
Right. I mean, I guess they probably, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe they envy some of the ways that we live as well.
I don't fucking think so.
No?
I think some of them do, obviously.
Some of them do, yeah.
Yeah. Well, but I look at them out there, out bush, you know, like when they're right out, and it's just like, this is the way life should be lived. It's like there's no rush to do anything or get anywhere, and just,
yeah, they're
just living life, dude.
Well, that's how you like to live, too. I mean, you like to, like, just be out, like when you're at your cabin, you spend a tremendous amount of time at your cabin just out hunting.
Pretty much, you know? Chilling out.
Well, that's the thing about where you live. I mean, you have so many invasive species, so many deer and pigs. You could just go and hunt
season
anytime
or anything
you want.
like that. Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah. So I do get to hunt a lot.
So you just eat wild game constantly.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like your wedding made my mouth drool.
Oh, dude,
the food that you guys had laid out. Woo!
Yeah,
just wild pork and venison.
I ate those like meatballs, which were like a deer pig mix for like 3 days, dude.
God,
breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
It looks so good. All that wild pork.
It was awesome, and it was a awesome experience to go out, harvest that meat myself, then put it on for like 60, 70 people at the wedding. Yeah, it was cool. And I'm like, this is from right here, right here off the farm.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're living, man.
You
living
so need to come over, dude.
You got to kill all those bugs first.
Did you see that scorpion that bit me?
No.
So, because I've always been like, I've actually never been bitten. I got bitten by like an orb spider on the arm once.
What's an orb spider?
They're not too bad, but like this side went numb. All this side here.
Okay, that's bad, dude.
Yeah, but it's not like bad, like it's going to kill you or make you real sick or anything like that. You just don't feel it
for a while.
Yeah. So
just jerk off with the left hand.
The day before the wedding, that's a garden orb. That's the fella there that bit me. But they're not too bad. But I've never looked up scorpions before because I've never been bitten by them. And I've just heard a few rumours that you can get really sick from the little ones. And I picked up a bit of timber while I was building the barn that I was doing. And originally I thought it was just a splinter that cracked me. And then, dude, this hand felt like it was about 10 times the size. Like in 20 seconds, this hand just felt like it was just swelling up. It wasn't. It looked fine. But then you could see my veins popping out. You could feel the poison running up my arm. It come all the way up this arm, sort of disappeared once it got into my chest, and like I ran over to the cabin. I had my buddy Antonio there. I'm like, fucking look up scorpion bites right now. Like one just cracked me and it's excruciating. And he looked it up and he's like, worst case scenario, have a cardiac arrest, but it's in very limited cases. So I'm like, well, what's the normal case? And it's just excruciating pain for up to 2 or 3 days.
2 or 3 days?
Yeah. Anyway, once it got into my chest, it sort of disappeared. I did feel a bit nauseous and stuff like that. But then 2 a.m. in the morning, it drifted down into this leg on the opposite side, like woke me up, like was just killing me. Like, you little fucker, they're only this fucking big too.
So like an inch long?
They pick a punch. Yeah, about an inch long. just a tiny little stinger.
Still like that?
That didn't happen to me, thank
Okay. I
Christ.
won't put it up now.
That's what necrosis.
Yeah,
It's
but
just spider stings.
you can like get, it's not freaking good. But the day of the wedding, while we're all getting ready, me good friend Ben Chambers was there. I was over freaking building something still or whatever I was doing, and I hear a bit of commotion. I look over, he's friggin' wrestling it's a spotted blue belly black snake, which we've actually never had on the property before, and they're really aggressive. Like he sort of tried to hold it out of a stick so it couldn't lash back and get him. Like, I got all these people showing up for a wedding and there's a friggin' venomous snake running around.
How venomous is a black snake?
I've heard that they give you a real bad migraine, but they can do the same. You can have cardiac arrest, you can have a bad reaction to it, so there's a lot of shit that can go on there. But, mate, it grabs this stick, and a red-belly black snake will whack you and then usually let go. These things are notorious for grabbing you and just pumping you with venom. That's what makes them the worst of the black snakes. They'll just grab onto you and keep pumping you with venom, and they won't do a dry bite. A lot of snakes do a dry bite. And but anyway, this is like the friggin' an hour away from the wedding starting, dude, and he's tangling this snake up around the stick. Then he lets it go like further away from the cabin, and when he lets it go, it spews up a bloody brown snake. And I sent you a video once before of a snake spewing up another snake.
Yeah.
This thing spewed up a full brown snake and then
And
took
brown
off.
snakes are super poisonous.
Exactly, yeah. So I probably should have left it alive because it's taking care of the brown snake population.
It has a taste for what kills you.
Yeah, should have left it right at the cabin.
Yeah, I mean, if it only gives you a headache.
Yeah, but most of the time, like in Australia, and I've walked thousands of miles, dude, and I've never ever had a problem. That's why you need to come out.
Boy, that's not a convincing argument.
Come visit the farm. I'll take you out to the cabin.
Sounds good. Can I get an armored suit? You got like some Kevlar underwear I can put on? It seems like a terrible idea.
I brought you that buffalo skull because I'm like, you're fucking never coming, so I might as well bring you one of my buffalo skulls.
Well, I would come to Australia. I'm not going buffalo hunting. You guys are out of your fucking mind.
You're pretty
wrestling
safe
with
up
crocodiles.
there.
Oh yeah, pretty safe.
There's no crocodiles up there at all.
Saltwater crocodile. Is that the snake?
Fully safe. That's a red belly there.
Ooh, that thing's beautiful.
He is pissed off. See, he's flattening his neck out like that.
God, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a red belly black snake?
Yeah, they're pretty harmless.
They're so pretty.
I've actually had me head back on a stick before, and it was curled right up behind my head, and they'll lift up and have a look in the grass, and he lifted right up beside me. I'm like, I won't move. Like, I don't want to get bit. And then he just relaxed and chilled out.
So you just had to just lay there?
That second from the left, Jamie, that looks like a spotted... What is that?
This says blue-bellied here, but you can't see much of it.
Yeah,
look at that one, that bright, shiny black one above it to the right.
Yeah, that's why I was click on these. They just all those nice pictures. Also,
that's
they're red ones.
They're pretty,
that is a gorgeous creature.
It's not uncommon to see a few of them through the summer while you're hunting, but like I said, they're really placid.
So those are safe. But how the fuck do you remember them all?
Do me a favor while you're looking at
kill
snakes.
You? Will that
Look
kill
up
you?
Andrew Eucles.
I saw this thing on your Instagram.
Yeah, and then you'll find him on YouTube. Then he's got this video where he catches, I think it's 2 brown snakes and a red-belly black snake, and he puts them down in rabbit holes, and then they chase the rabbits out. Like they're trying to get shelter. They chase these rabbits out, and he ends up catching the rabbits. It's friggin' hilarious.
So he uses...
These are his older videos. I just seen it. That one there, Jamie, the top one.
Is this the one or the one above it?
This one here, he's doing
Catching
something.
wild rabbits with snakes. Not it?
Nah.
All right.
That one there. This dude's a freak.
It's a longer video.
That's him?
Barefoot? Holy shit, that was a few years ago.
He looks pretty Australian.
He's very Australian. I keep saying to him, if you keep doing this shit, your fucking number's coming up, brother.
So these snakes are what kind of snakes?
They're 2 red-belly black snakes there.
So those will kill you?
Nah, they won't kill you
Those
unless
are
you have a
headache
bad
snakes.
reaction. Yeah, they're headache snakes.
And they're not attacking him.
Well, one of them's trying to now. It's getting a bit revved up.
Yeah, I mean, he's just walking around
He's
carrying
got
them.
some serious control. So when they lift up the strike, he drops them down a little bit, because they can't fight against their own weight like that.
Uh-huh.
Otherwise, there's no use stressing if you got reflux.
So
he just picked up another one?
Grab it.
He just saw one on the ground.
He's got 3
He's
in
got
one
3
hand,
of them in his hand. What the fuck is wrong with this dude? This is your buddy?
Yeah, this is my buddy.
He's a bow hunter?
No, he doesn't hunt, no.
Why should he hunt? He just cracks snakes with his fucking hands while he's wearing gym shorts.
Dude, he's just done Africa like maybe a couple of years ago. He chases a pride of lions off a fucking kill.
What?
Chases a pride of lions, bluffs them out.
Come on.
He has elephants chase him down, dude, and he outruns elephants.
What?
Oh, he's fucking insane.
Does he have a death wish?
He must have.
Do you think he does?
I don't know.
Talk to him about
it? He's got some screws loose at least.
Yeah. Can he identify the taste of a gun? Oh, I've been there before. He says. Yeah, so he drops these snakes down the holes, the rabbits just run out?
Yeah, he drops them down the hole.
And then what he does, he grabs the rabbits with his hands?
He grabs the rabbit, yeah.
So he hunts with his hands?
Or they run into a net, I'm not sure, one or the other. Yeah.
You're hanging around with some weird dudes.
I just watched him wrestle a full-size bull buffalo.
What?
Yeah, he lassoed this bull, and I'm filming, this is on this last
What kind of buffalo?
A water buffalo.
Like the one that you had the skull
one of the
out
invasive
there?
ones, yeah.
That giant fucker?
Yeah. He lassos one of those, but because how the horns are, he can only get a lasso around one horn, so it comes off. I've got it on video. It misses him by, I reckon it's a couple of feet. This thing is on his ass, but he can run. But I'm like, dude, one trip and you are fucked up.
How fast is a water buffalo?
Fast, off the mark.
They're huge.
Yeah, just the head, like just the weight in the head, could squish your body in half if it got you against the ground or a tree. So imagine the rest of its whole body weight grinding you, dude. It'd turn you in the friggin' pepper.
What's the end game for this guy? Like, what's he doing this for?
Oh, fuck.
For a thrill?
I think so.
He's
done some stuff with...
Look at him out there with a backpack,
he's done some
gym
stuff
shorts.
with... Look at this monkey having a root in the background. Holy shit.
So this is Africa?
This must be Africa. A sample clip.
It says sample clip. Like, what is he doing?
He's going to chase one of these...
approach wild baboons.
Baboons. Holy fuck.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Why is he chasing baboons? Baboons will fuck you up.
He nearly dies on this trip. Something bites him or something. He gets some.
Oh, my God. So he just chased off all these baboons by running at them. This does not seem wise. What concerns me more than anything is that other people are going to copy this guy.
100%.
Yeah, because he obviously is very skilled. I mean, if you could call it skilled, knowledgeable, what's the word? He's done it before. He's experienced.
Oh, shit. Here comes this pride of lion bit.
Fucking Christ.
Look, he turns his back on him. Chuchi!
He's got no shirt on, folks. He's wearing gym shorts, and he's give me some volume so I can hear this crazy fuck talk.
I've just been hanging around this dam here. Now, in that last bit of footage, you could see me rolling on the ground. I was trying to act like a dead animal so they could come in close. But even then, these animals understand that I'm a predator. They understand. One look at me with my two legs, my two arms, standing upright, my vision forward. These animals understand that I'm a potential threat to them. I'm not food, I'm a threat.
A fret.
Fuck.
He's crazy. They understand he's fucking crazy.
One of those lines just needs to go, no, you're fucking not.
Yeah.
And
listen,
you're in some trouble.
I'm ready to put this down. Yeah, that tissue paper skin that we have covering this fucking water balloon of blood that we call a body.
They're used to tearing open like friggin' buffalo and shit like that.
Things with thick hide.
We ain't nothing.
We're nothing, man.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. What is he doing? Shit. Why does he have a crocodile? Why is he putting a lasso around a fucking crocodile? This guy's crazy.
To feed it a coconut.
He fed it a coconut?
Yeah.
Why did he feed it a coconut?
Why not?
Like to put it in its mouth so it can't bite? Okay, give me some volume of this crazy fuck.
He must be in Africa because you can't. Oh, shit.
Stay, he says. Stay.
This is what I do the same thing. I start talking to animals and I'm like, fucking, they don't understand English. There's no use telling them to calm down or not fucking eat you.
This dude doesn't even have shoes on.
The closing pressure of a crocodile is around 3,500 pounds per square inch. Compare this to us humans and it's only 200 pounds per square inch. And you'll soon realise why this guy deserves the title as nature's vice. You gotta crack my coconut.
Oh my God. So this crazy fucker has a coconut in the crocodile's mouth and he's trying to get the crocodile to crack a coconut for him. Oh my God.
He's a stud, dude. He's he's awesome. Yeah.
So what does this guy do for a living?
Fucking YouTube and stuff for, I don't know, some network.
Tickle. So
he's actually a real nomad, to tell you the truth.
Really?
Yeah.
Just lives out in the bush?
Yeah.
Jesus. But, I mean, doesn't he have to feed himself? Like,
yeah,
does he have a job?
He does some crazy shit. He's about to do some massive trek, dude, with nothing and just walk through some wild country. And so one of the reasons why he was in Arnhem Land with me up north was he's trying to learn off the indigenous about a lot of the bush tucker, like a lot of the food that he can find out in the bush, like yams and different like fruits and stuff like that. He knows all the wildlife stuff that he can eat, but the indigenous has spent, you know, a long time trying to work out what they can and can't eat. And there's heaps of things that you can eat, but they've got to be boiled for a certain amount of period. You can only eat to this far into it and things like that. Otherwise you fucking cark it, dude. There's a I don't know if it's a root or a type of fruit, and you definitely can't eat it. They crush it up and they put it in the water, and it takes all the oxygen out of the water and all the fish float.
Oh, I've seen that in South America.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So imagine how long it took to work out that actually worked. Like, that's crazy, isn't it?
Well, that's another thing that they eat in Bolivia, cassava.
Yeah, okay.
You ever heard of that?
No, I haven't, no.
It's a root that if you eat it raw, it's super toxic. Like, there's a whole really involved process where you have to soak it, and then you have to drain it.
Looks very similar to some of the stuff in Australia. Yeah.
And then it turns it into there's actually cyanide that comes out of it. Yeah, see if you can find a video, Jamie, on preparation of cassava. But this cassava is apparently Ranello was telling me about it. That's what it was. Ranello, I've read about it before, but Ranello was telling me how poisonous it is. That the stuff that they
fuck, it looks like Bert.
It does. Bert wishes he looked that good. That's like Bert's gay lover. That's what it looks like. So They have these buckets around the camp.
Jamie, you've got to find a better video than this.
This guy's so gay.
All the rest of it was just recipes, and I mean, someone was preparing it from the start. And he was the only one doing it.
Well, there's a really involved process in order to cook it.
Yeah, so you either get it right, or
you're dead.
You're dead. Yeah.
Just amazing that they figured this out. So you have to do all the stuff to it and prepare it, and the actual buckets of liquid, they were saying, Ranello was talking about how they just leave them around the camp. And he was like, what if a kid drinks that? He's like, they don't. So she's cooking it up. She's got some way to...
That's special.
Anyway. But yeah, I mean, how long did it take them to figure out that if they can grind that plant up, throw it in the water, that the fish will
How many
suffocate?
people died eating it themselves because it looks like a fruit? You know, and there's so many in the Australian outback that look and smell and even taste good, but man, they'll kill you. They're
Isn't
toxic.
that crazy when you think about the trial and error involved in figuring out what you can and can't eat?
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Yeah. Now we've got all these books. At least it takes the mystery out of stuff like that.
But even then, people screw it up.
Oh, for sure.
All the time with mushrooms.
Yeah, I nearly did it the other day. There's one that it sort of tastes similar to an apple, but a little bit like on the sour side if it was an unripe apple. It's completely edible. There's another one that looks nearly exactly the same, but it drops the same pink flower out of the bottom of it. It's got this little spike that comes off it. And so I'd been walking around eating these other ones because I didn't have hardly any food. And then I'm like, oh, there's a friggin' whole heap of them here. And I grabbed them and just threw them in the backpack. Got to this water hole, cracked it open and just thought, shit, is it the same type? And then I smelled it and straight away, it's not the same type. It didn't have the same seeds or anything. But how quick of a mistake to make. And that second one that I grabbed is really friggin' poisonous, dude. So it's like, yeah, I need to carry a bush tucker book with me. But at least there's those books out there now.
Fugu, the fish more potent. But yeah, I've seen those.
Why even fuck around with it?
Though, right?
Yeah, they use them for sushi.
Yeah.
Apparently, like the really skillful sushi chefs, they slice through this thing and fillet it. But what the fuck? The smallest mistake in preparation could be fatal, but Tokyo City's government is planning to ease restrictions that allow only highly trained and licensed chefs to serve the dish. Fuck all that.
Well, just how about fucking eat some normal fish?
Yeah,
Christ.
Eat some tuna, you crazy assholes. But I think it's for people. They like a thrill of knowing that they're eating something that could kill you.
Yeah.
You know, if prepared incorrectly.
This sounds like a fucking elk hunt in Montana.
So how good did that elk taste, though, knowing all you went through it?
Well, because I was starving by the end. Like you can only have limited food with you, and then even though I come out of the wild, you know, for like I come into town and bought the bullets, I didn't go to a store and be like, I'm going to load up on a heap of other food and shit. That for me, that was going to wreck the trip, you know. So I'd just go into town, grab the bullets. Trip? Yeah, it fucking would. It was a challenge.
So you wanted to live off the land?
I did, yeah. I wanted to live off the land.
But you must have brought some food with you, right?
Yeah, like, so probably the first 11 days I ate pretty good.
What did you bring with you?
Dehydration meals, you know, little energy bars, just because everything's got to be light, you know. So most everything was dehydrated or just like a light type of food, as simple as it is. And then heaps of chocolate bars, actually. They're not that light, but fuck, you need them when you're out there. You need to pack that energy back on and keep going. So heaps of chocolate bars, and then...
Any specific ones do you use, or just anyone you can get?
Just whatever I can get.
Just regular chocolate, or like Snickers bars?
Shit like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Just calories.
Yeah, just calories. Half the chocolate bars in America, I don't even know what they are. And then I open them up and I'm like, that's shit, you know. Because it's so different back in Australia. But we do have Snickers. But like we've got a Mars bar. You don't have a Mars bar here. It's called a Milky Way.
No, we have Mars.
Oh, do you? I couldn't find them anywhere, and they're my favourite.
Oh, they have Mars bars here.
Oh, do they? Oh,
yeah.
Must have went to the wrong store. I was fucking dirty. But I bought some Milky Ways, which are different back in Australia as well, and they're more similar to a Mars bar. So the first 11 days I ate pretty well, but I'd still, if I could spare food, like if I could shoot a grouse, I'd eat that. If I come across berries, I'd eat those. And I sort of had contact with April Vokey, who's like right into the outdoors and fly fishing and stuff. She knows a lot of... You had
her out in Australia on your podcast as well, right?
I did, yeah. And she's hunted with us a few times. And Kim and her get along like a house on fire, so it works out good.
Is a house on fire good?
A house? You don't have that saying either? Fuck.
Get along like a house on fire. That seems like a terrible way to get along. If your house is on fire, you're fucking furious and sad.
That's a fuck saying, eh?
That's a weird one.
There's a few of those weird ones, and I'm like, how'd they even come up with that? That one right there.
Yeah, house on fire.
Or, you know, like jump the gun. Did they actually jump the gun?
Yeah, well, that's jumping the starting block. You know, ready, set, bang.
Why don't they just say jump the noise?
No, jump the gun makes sense. It makes more sense than get along like a house on fire.
Unless you're the fire, because you're fucking burning up. You're going blazing. So,
okay. All right.
Could look at it like that as well.
I see where you're going with that.
Yeah. So April was sort of my go-to person. Like, if I had reception, I'd take a photo and be like, can I eat this? Yeah, the worst thing is, because sometimes she'd be busy, I'd be collecting heaps of them. Like, I'd need them. Right, she'd be like, definitely not. And I'd be like, fuck. But most things just from taste and a few things that I already knew. But there'd be some areas, especially up high, where those bears were, where I seen that grizzly in Colorado, there was berries everywhere, and that's obviously why the bears were there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you ate those berries?
Yeah,
what kind?
Like friggin' raspberries, blueberries. There's those rose nips. Do you know those? They don't look edible and they're pretty hard, but they're really good for you. But if you eat too many of them, they'll make you feel itchy.
Itchy?
Yeah. Which I never felt itchy, but I didn't want to get to that point, like walking around hunting, be like,
really? They make you itchy?
Yeah. When's the 2:30 crack giveaway?
What was the word? what was the word that you used? Bush something?
Bush tucker.
Bush tucker. What does that mean?
Tucker. Fuck, you Americans need to come up to scratch.
Oh, shut up, you mole.
Yeah, good one. You fucking mole.
You fucking mole.
And you can't say fucking as in ing. It's got to be en on the end of it. Fucking.
You would say en. We would say in and then put an apostrophe.
Yeah, right.
Fucking.
Nah, fucking. Yeah, you got to say fucking mole. Yeah.
Fucking mole.
Yeah, there you go. See how Australian it sounds straight away.
I can fit right in.
Perfect. You'd get right
I just have to get used to driving on the wrong side of the road.
No, it's the right side, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, so April was my go-to
Bush
girl.
tucker. What does that mean, though?
Bush tucker's food. So, food.
Bush tucker?
Tucker's food.
Tucker.
Tucker. Yeah, Tucker. Yeah, Tucker's
like, let's go get some tucker?
Yeah, let's go and get some tucker. Like, we'll go and get some tucker.
Have you ever heard that, young Jamie? No. That is, you're acting like this is normal.
It is very normal.
For who?
For Australians.
Is this like a dialect you picked up in the Outback?
No, it's pretty normal.
Bush
there
tucker.
you fucking
Food.
go. Thank God for Google.
Also called bush food is any food native to Australia and used as sustenance by the original inhabitants, the Aboriginal Australians, but it can also describe native flora or fauna.
Yeah.
Flora or fauna.
Yeah.
So that was something, did you pick up from the indigenous people?
No, I think I was just raised like that, you know.
So it's just a phrase.
Yeah,
that
obviously I grew up out in the bush.
Bush tucker. Whoa,
so the
what
bush
is that?
is the woods.
Marloo is what you call a kangaroo?
Yeah, they're indigenous names there.
Marloo, Bardura. What is that bird?
That looks like it could be magpie geese.
And what is that one?
That'd be magpie geese.
What is that? How's that word? Yali
Well, that's an emu, yeah.
Right, Yali.
Yeah.
And so, do the indigenous people, they eat kangaroos?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Aboriginals.
Kangaroos, wallabies, goannas.
You ever eat kangaroo?
Yep, plenty
What's
of times.
it taste like?
It's a very rich red meat.
Yeah.
Like a really, really rich red meat.
Good?
It's delicious, yeah. And it's super lean. Like there's no fat content to it at all.
And so do you buy it in a store? Or
You can.
Whoa,
yeah.
what the fuck is that, man?
That's bullshit. Really? Yeah, that's not right. Yeah.
It's bullshit. How's it bullshit? The guy's holding it.
That's
What is
not
it?
fucking
Photoshop.
a real
It's not that
grub.
big.
That's-
All right.
Yeah.
It's not a real grub?
No.
I don't know if Australia.
No, it's like a wood grub or a witchetty grub. They're good eating.
Oh, so it's not really that big.
No way, not.
What's that?
They're good grubs there. They'd be witchetty grubs there.
Good grubs.
Yeah.
Hold on. So you see those? Oh, them's good grubs. Like you go eat those.
Yeah, have you seen my
that's bush
videos? Where
tucker.
I'm,
What?
That's bush tucker. We're eating good grubs.
When I've been building the cabin and I'm stripping the bark off it, you'll see all those grubs and I get them and I cook them up and eat them. Just like peanut butter, mate, but better.
They taste like peanut butter?
Yep, they do, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, probably even better than peanut butter.
What kind of peanut butter do you guys have in Australia?
Honey ant, they're pretty good.
What is that, a honey ant?
Yeah, honey ants, sugar ants.
Those are good?
Yeah, they're
you eat
good.
those?
Yep. And if you run out of tea or, you know, if you want a hot drink and you're out in the bush, then you'd boil your water and then you'd get a heap of those in a leaf or on a leaf and you'd dip them in your hot water and it like makes like a nice tea, but it's like sweetened already from the ant. They carry like a sugary taste on them.
Whoa. So that little thing on their butt is actually honey?
Yep.
They have a little bubble pack of honey?
Well, it's not really honey, but it tastes like honey.
Really?
Yep.
It looks like honey, though.
Yep.
Well, what is it?
I'm pretty sure bees are the only things that can produce honey.
Wow, that's crazy, though. That's their abdomen,
Yep.
essentially, right?
Yep.
So it looks like those black things
What's
at
it
the top
got
is
in
like their
its mouth?
abdomen is separated, rather.
That's weird. Looks like it's sucking
Sucking
on a
on
bottle.
honey. Yeah, it's got something photoshopped to honey.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so strange.
So it's only strange because we don't eat it. But
Right.
imagine those things were grown on a farm and harvested for mass production, no different than lamb or what insects do we eat? None, which is friggin' weird. Why wouldn't we eat insects? They're
Well,
food,
crickets.
right?
People are starting to eat crickets.
Yeah, and frogs and
But crickets meaning bugs.
yeah,
You know, a lot of people eat crickets these days.
Yeah.
They're eating cricket protein powder. It's very popular in America.
yeah, okay.
Not
I
very
think it will
popular.
become
I shouldn't say very.
like there's two people in all of America.
No, it's
eating it.
becoming more popular. They have, I think they have a nice cricket protein bar that you can buy. I haven't tried them,
Yeah, okay.
but I've been to Mexico.
Sounds
but I've
good.
heard good things about them.
Yeah.
But I've been to Mexico and we went to this resort, and when you check into your hotel room, they have like a little bowl of fried crickets.
Really?
Yeah, like with chili powder and stuff. Proudly Strange. What is that? That the company?
Yeah, it's called
And they sell
Exo.
cricket. Oh, Exo.
Get out of here.
What's these goddamn pop-up ads? So exo, meaning exoskeleton, is the crickets.
I don't
Crickets.
understand why we wouldn't eat
Well, we should.
insects.
Well, not only that, but vegans should eat them because
Yeah.
it's a great way to get B12, and most people don't really care that much about bugs.
Yeah.
It's like the thing about vegans seems to be sentient animals and worrying about killing these feeling life forms,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And if that's the way they feel, they could be far healthier eating mollusks. Mollusks are a big one. They don't feel shit, and they're fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Like mollusks, they say, are dumber than plants.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
they're more primitive than plants. The fact that they move is what freaks people out.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
does a vegan eat a Venus flytrap? Would they eat that? Because
Yeah,
that
it
thing
moves.
fucking moves too.
Yeah. Well,
It
plants
hunts.
fucking move. They just take a long time to move and grow.
Exactly. But crickets are a really good source of protein. So if someone wants to get animal or some sort of living protein, particularly like the nutrients and amino acids that you can get from that kind of protein, just look into insects. Don't die, you fuckers.
I'm going to start my own insect farming.
Do it, bitch.
Fuck, this is how you become a millionaire.
It seems like it's a tough sell. I mean, trust me, I used to host Fear Factor. So
why the fuck is it a tough sell? We're eating little lambs.
Well, not only
cows.
Yeah. Yep.
Australia, we're eating kangaroos.
And how about crabs and
fish
lobsters,
and
which are basically
like
bugs.
Yeah, exactly.
Bugs that live in the water. Yeah, crickets in particular taste good. I'm telling you, man, I was grubbing on those crickets in Mexico.
Yeah.
They had like a nice chili powder on them, and they were fried and like
so they're like crunchy. It's like
they were kind of
savory.
salty, a little savory. They were good.
Yeah.
Like they were like I would buy them.
Yeah, that sounds good. These grubs that I'm talking about are delicious.
That's where I draw the line. Not eating grubs, bro.
Full delicious. It's just a
full delicious. That's another thing that the Australians say.
Fully or
full amazing.
Fully sick.
Yeah, fully sick. Yeah.
Mad cunt.
That's a good one too. Mad cunt is like a good expression.
Like my favorite
Cameron
one.
Hayes is a mad cunt.
Yeah,
right?
Cameron Hayes is a mad cunt. Yeah, I actually, some people, it might have been from me saying that, and they were like, "Where can I get mad cunt shirt? You're a mad cunt." No, it was be a nice cunt. Because you're either a nice cunt or a bad cunt.
Oh, right.
And the shirt that everyone wanted, I actually got one printed up, but it didn't come in time. I was going to wear it here. It just said, "Just be a nice cunt." It's as simple as that.
Well, you guys have a very different use of the word cunt.
Yeah.
Cunt is like a good dude.
Can be.
Or
so if you say mad cunt,
too, right?
if you say mad cunt, that's awesome. That's a good compliment.
That's a bad motherfucker.
But if you're like, you're a fucking cunt.
Right.
No.
That's interesting. Yeah, you have much more range with the word cunt than we do.
A lot of Australians, like, even though you're going to say yes or no, they're always like, yeah. So they start with yeah, and then they're like, nah. Nah.
No.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I like that.
That's a good one. I like using that one too.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Or if you're going to say no, then go no.
You shake your head yes, but you say no. What is that?
It means I don't give a fuck. You pick what you want.
So you're nodding yes and saying no.
Yeah.
No.
Like Kim will be like, should I this swimsuit? And I'll be like, no. You make your own mind
up. So you're shaking your head and going and nodding your head.
Whatever the fuck I say doesn't matter anyway. She's gonna get what she wants.
Yeah.
So.
You know what I've developed? I've developed an amazing ability to not listen when someone's talking.
That's what I've been doing this whole show.
Oh, man. I don't mean with you. I mean with my wife. I could hear they talk about stuff that I like, especially when my wife gets together with her friends. They can have a conversation. I could be right there. I don't hear a fucking thing.
Yeah, Kim's
I could be in a field just hearing chirp, chirp, chirp.
Exactly.
It's like they're
Kim's
just
like, you're
away.
you're antisocial. I'm like, no, I'm not antisocial. I just don't have to talk about everything. I'm quite happy sitting there quietly.
I just think there's a very big biological difference between the way women like to communicate and the way men. Especially a guy like you who does so much hunting where it's very valuable to be quiet.
Yeah. I've actually had some friends say to me like that I'm very antisocial and it's like you're not interested in hanging out with us and stuff like that. And
do these friends hunt?
Yeah, they do. But I like hunting solo. Like but it's not like a choice that I'm like, oh, I'm not fucking taking him or I'm not inviting him or whatever. But I'm just happy to do it alone. So if I'm planning the trip, I don't necessarily plan it around someone else's time or something like that.
So they think you're antisocial because you don't
they
invite
wouldn't
them?
do it. Well, and they're a little bit like, they're also like, how can you just go out there by yourself like that? Like, don't you get bored or you miss talking to someone or whatever? And it's taken me years to figure it out. Like, why am I so comfortable being by myself or not saying a word in a crowd of people that are talking? My past growing up, but a lot of it's been from my past growing up. And, like, I've nailed it. It's like I grew up with people that were supposed to be loved ones that didn't show love at all. In fact, they taught you the complete opposite. Instead of teaching trust, they taught distrust because this is supposed to be a person that's close and treats you well and they're fucking treating you like shit. So you slowly start moving away from sort of mankind in a sense where...
Well, you start associating people with a negative feeling.
Exactly. And so the way that I'd get treated, you know, growing up was I'm better off by myself. You know, I'm better off safer. Kim sort of wrecks that now, but that's what I mean, how she's wrecked it. But yeah, I grew up all those years knowing, you know, not to trust people, and people are fucking actually dangerous and stuff like that. So I'm happy being off by myself and doing my own thing. And then, like I said, now it's different. I've got my own family, and I know the complete opposite. I, you know, trust and love and everything like that.
But isn't also the hunting thing for you that when you're hunting, you're just locked in on the task at hand?
To a degree, definitly.
Yeah,
to a degree.
So you don't want someone with you that's going to mess it up or making noise or
not.
No,
because I'm not a that sort of sounds a little bit selfish.
No, I don't mean it that way. I don't mean it that way. What I mean is that, like, you're focused. Not
definitely
even that you don't need anybody else, but when you're focused, you really don't need anybody else. It's just the task at hand.
Yeah, just you against the elements.
Yeah.
I think it's that. It's pushing myself. I love the fucking wilderness. Like, it's just as simple as that. And Joe, like, I always feel like I love the society we live in and this whole system, but it's not the system that I've designed for myself.
Right.
Like, I'd love to go back fucking 10,000 years, dude.
Jesus.
And be living then.
You would have a shitty bow, though.
Fuck.
All your arrows would weigh different amounts.
If I could be, I'd be indigenous to Australia.
Would you?
And running around with a spear and boomerang, dude.
You'd be happy with that?
Oh, hell yeah.
I wouldn't be happy with that.
Not knowing what I know, though. So this is the thing where Kim's fucked it for me.
Yeah.
Like, I wish she could just be a real bitch and nasty and not good looking, and then, you know, it'd be like, I am going walkabout.
Right.
I ain't coming back.
That's a funny expression, going walkabout. That is a funny expression.
Walkabout. Yeah, well, because they would. It'd take them so far to get from wherever they were, you know, because they'd travel a lot. I think there's some hard evidence now that Indigenous Australians, because there was symbols like right down on the east coast of Australia, the same exact symbols go all the way up the coast to the Northern Territory. This is a 5-day drive, by the way, that the Indigenous would walk that. You know,
5-day drive.
Yeah, so walkabout. Like, Kevin used to walk from Community, so that's built by the Australian government to house the Indigenous people. Then they also have, we call it on country, but like an out community just for his mob on his land. You know, so Kevin's a traditional owner, just for his mob on his land. They would walk that. It would take them 5 days to walk it. And then, so if they went out on country for a while and hunted and stuff like that, let's say they spend another 20 or 30 days out there, maybe longer, then another 5 days walk, you can see why they called it walkabout. They disappear, and that's how the sayings come up when you go away for a long time, is you've gone on walkabout, because they'd literally walk that distance, they'd be out on country for a certain amount of period and then come back. So that's why I've sort of adopted as well, like when I go walkabout. I go walkabout on Kim a fair bit.
But the idea of driving 5 days and that they could walk it, and now these are different. I mean, you were talking about all the different dialects and different tribes of people. Now, what the hell did they do when they encountered different groups?
Sometimes there'd be war and stuff like that between mobs. There'd be war and things like that, because I think in most cases they'd try and avoid it, and they'd have like their corridor that they walk through. But they all had their own land, what they sort of pretty much call. Well, I can't say they all had their own land, because there's so many indigenous mobs that and there was so many differences between them that some of them were just pure nomadic, you know, and just.
Did they have written language?
I don't know. I think their written language, freaking don't quote me on this, was like the Dreamtime and the paintings and everything like that. And everyone tells a story. What's getting lost is it's only the traditional elders that know those stories, and they've got to pass it on to the next generation. So this is their story, this is their paintings, this is how the story goes. When it gets lost is when the mob essentially dies out, you know, or it's not passed on down through the generations.
That's just so crazy that there's this enormous population of people and their stories not being told.
Yeah, it seems sad when I think about it. In one sense, it seems really sad, but in the other sense, it shouldn't matter to anyone else, because it's just those people's language and their story. So if they die, it's gone with them anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still just for the historical record. I think it'd be great for human just the human race.
Definitely, yeah.
To understand that this is really a very little understood group of human beings.
Don't you hate that the mystery's getting taken out of everything, though? Like, it's good to have all that information. Like, go on Google and find out friggin' the age of the last ice age or something like that. Right. And which is awesome, but it also cancels out all the mystery. Like, we know that there's no other sort of monster crocodile in the waters anymore, because the whole world's like right at our fingertips. Instead of being able to have that mystery in our mind, like, oh, I wonder what's out the back there, you know. And that's why I felt like there's no more last frontiers. I love calling Arnhem Land the last frontier, and places like Northwest Territories the last frontier, because there's hardly any humans out there. But the truth is, it's all been discovered. It's all pretty much been documented. I sort of hate that.
You got some like real wanderlust, dude. You got some Lewis and Clark type shit in you.
That's why I'm like, I wish I could go back in. Like, there's nowhere to discover anymore. Right. Like Stuart MacDonald, he was an alcoholic, but he's actually a real famous early explorer that come into Australia. And Australia was convinced, or the people of Adelaide were convinced, that's where the first settlements were, that there was an inland ocean in Australia, because there's all these rivers running out from the centre of Australia. And it couldn't be the opposite, as you know. It's all fucking desert. But they walked in and out of there so many times, and so many men died. And MacDonald Stewart himself nearly died a couple of times from starvation and no water, because they were walking into the desert. In the end, he was successful, and he ended up walking all the way through to the top of Australia, dude. There's no fucking water until you get to the top of Australia.
How did he get through it?
But imagine being back then when there was all that mystery. Like, there was that you were thinking that there was an inland ocean in Australia because of these rivers running out. But those rivers are ancient rivers. They're millions of years old. And for so many hundreds of thousand years, they haven't even ran on top of the surface. They run under the sand in the rocks, those rivers. So crazy to think. But some of the stories is he's got an awesome book. Well, he doesn't have an awesome book because he's long gone, but there's an awesome book out on him called Mr. Stewart's Track. And there's one point, because Indigenous, like, they'd never encountered Indigenous and things like that as well. They're walking into the centre of Australia where it was highly populated with Indigenous people. No white people had ever been in there, no settlers before. They were literally cutting the first tracks and drawing the maps, dude. And they walk into one spot, and like they've been 3 days or something without water. Like, they're on the brink of death, and they think it's like a miracle. There's like a little well out there, like a clay built well out in the middle of nowhere, and it's got this crystal clear water in it. They keep the cattle and horses at bay, because cattle and horses would smell the water and just go in there and trash it before the men could get there. So they keep the cattle and horses at bay. They go in with their own canteens and fill them up and drink, and, you know, all the men are just getting as much water as they can. Then they've let the horses and cattle go so they can have a drink. Now, the horses and cattle come in there and they trample this whole well. Like, it ends up going back to dust because they cave it all in. They drink as much water as they can. They cave it all in, and the water pretty much dissipates. Then they ride out for 3 or 4 days and they can't find water, and they've run out of the water that they collected there. They turn back to there, and it might have even been longer. It might have been a couple of weeks. It might have been on the way back after not being able to go any further. And they come back there, and there's all these Aborigines there dead, because the Aborigines were the ones that would put the well in. They walk days and days, and they would just have a water source at the last point. You know, so they'd just go, they knew water was there, they'd drink, they'd be able to make it the next 3 or 4 days to the next bit of water. They get there, it's fully caved in, they can't get to the water. There's a whole mob of Indigenous people dead there. They knew they couldn't go on any further. At least all the ones that were dead there knew they couldn't go on any further. And they died right there, and there was no water, there was no well there anymore. Like, the cattle had just trampled it. And one thing, like, as if that's not crazy enough, but one thing that I always think about is imagine the Indigenous people coming across these hoof prints like that, because there's nothing in Australia. You got to think they're all the biggest animals running around in Australia were like kangaroos, dude. They'd have these little toed legs, and then they come across these massive prints for the first time that have just devastated their last drinking hole before they move on to the next place. Crazy stories in this book.
So there's no way to dig down deeper to restart the well?
I guess not. I guess at that point you're already so dehydrated, but you're walking to a point that you think that there's water because you build a well and then there's not anymore. And not that I very much doubt they would have given up because they're hardy people, but whatever they tried to do obviously wasn't enough.
Fucking white people. We
Fucking
ruin
white.
everything.
I know. Isn't that a horrible story?
White people ruin everything.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. We've done a lot of good. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan of white people.
Yeah.
But man.
But so see the mystery behind fucking just walking into the center of the street, even though it's a horrible mystery to go through. You know, that's what I mean. At least a heap of us don't have to die walking in the middle of Australia thinking I'm going to go in there fishing. There's an inland ocean somewhere and you never come across it. You're out in the middle of the desert. But at the same time, it takes away from all the mystery in life, you know.
See, you look at things way different than me. Because you have that wanderlust. You have that I want to go out and find the hidden things.
Yeah.
I don't have any of that shit.
Yeah.
I'm like okay, where's the water? No. Show me on a map. Where's the water? Okay. What kind of equipment do we need? What are we doing? Do we have a backup gun? What if we get charged? Not you and I are very different in that regard. I have no desire to go to uncharted territory and find some new monkey.
Risk. It's not the risk that's appealing.
What is it? Just the wanderlust.
It must be. It just must be. I haven't put my finger on that bit.
Wanderlust.
That cave system that you put a picture up of before that I took photos of, a lot of people have asked, like, where is that? But for me personally, I'd like to keep that undocumented because it seems once a place is known, it's no different than a good fishing or a hunting spot. It gets fucking ruined. And that cave system, for starters, it's not up to me because, you know, that'd be up to the traditional owners to want to put that out there for people to go and look at. It's not up to me, so I can't share that information. But for me personally, I don't want that to be documented because I know as soon as it's documented, rubbish will show up there. Right. Some dickheads will show up there and spray paint or scribble on it or want to write their own initials, butts. Some shit like that. Yeah. Some places are better off undocumented.
Well, the human race has got to evolve past that, and that's a big order, obviously. It's a very tall order, but God, we've got to evolve past that.
But it fucking won't, dude. There's been good people and bad people since the dawn of man.
Right, but I think there's more good people now than ever before.
Oh, definitely.
More informed people now than ever before. We just got to keep progressing along the same lines, and I think that progress is accelerating. Yeah. And I would just hope that more people in the future would have more appreciation for what that is just like this incredible historical resource. So you're seeing these. I mean, we're talking about 65,000 years of people in this area. Like, who knows how old those paintings are?
Yeah.
They could be thousands of years old, right? I mean, has anybody done like a carbon dating on them or anything?
I'm sure there has been. Yeah, man, I'm sure there has been many.
There's a bunch of they find those in Texas sometimes from Native Americans. They'll find them in like caves. Yeah. You just find a cave system and then you just encounter these pictographs.
When I was hunting in New Mexico, so I tagged out, and then like I didn't want the hunt to end. The hunt was done. Sorry, I didn't have any tags left. I didn't want the experience to end. You know, that's why I said it's never ever been about, you know, just killing an animal. It's about the whole adventure, the whole package. And I was with an outfitter, and the guide's like, "Oh, you tagged out. What do you want to do?" I'm like, "Well, let's go exploring and go walking still, and just, you know, I'll take photos of the countryside or whatever." And,
you put that all up on your blog too, right? Yeah. Was it in a magazine?
It was in a magazine, that one.
I read that.
Actually, it might be on bowsite.com.
Okay.
I think I did a live one. Anyway, go up on top of this mesa, and you can see these rock, like rock in U-shapes, which used to be like the Anasazi Indians. That's how they used to have their housing and stuff like that. Perfect spot, right up high, looking down onto these big meadows. Like, would have been the perfect place to, if other tribes were coming in, you'd be able to see them. And if any animals were moving through there, you'd be able to see them. Just the perfect spot. And we get up there, and as I get to the top, the first thing you find is a bunch of pottery. And the Anasazis had a certain colour. I think it was the white with the black writing on the pottery. And the Navajos had the orange with the white writing on the pottery. And there's both types sitting in this area. So I don't know if there's a bit of confusion, or maybe I'm lacking a bit of information there. But as far as I've looked in, it was the Anasazi Indians. And it's the whole way around there. Like, this must have been some major site. Dude, I found a perfect stone broadhead just sitting right there on a rock. And it just rained, so everything was clean. Like, everything was clean. I picked it up and like my mind boggled straight away. Like, why? How did this get here? Who held it? Did they shoot it? Who sharpened it? The history behind it. And so we kept walking around. I found a full axe head, dude. Like, obviously the timber's gone off the axe because it's been there for so long. The timber's just rotted into nothing. The axe head's sitting there perfect. We end up finding 3 axe heads, Indian pendant, with a perfect little hole like scribed in it and just like crazy, dude.
Did you bring that back with you?
Yeah, because it was private land. I was able to take it.
Did you take a photo of the broadhead?
Yep, I got all that documented.
Those fascinate me.
I was nearly going to give you the broadhead, and I'm like, that's taking it too fucking far.
I don't deserve it.
You can have the buff skull. Like, I shed a tear just parting with that buffalo skull. I'm like,
you've got how many fucking buffalo skills?
It doesn't matter. They all mean something to me.
He probably killed 50 last week.
They all mean something to me.
That's what Bert was saying today. He killed like 9 things this week. I follow his Instagram page. He killed a dog.
Fuck. Oh,
that's
shit.
The cat thing is what freaks people out about Australia.
The dog freaks people out as well, but
Wild
it's
animals.
no different than shooting a coyote here or a problem animal,
Yeah.
Dingoes were one of the first, they believe, one of the first introduced species into Australia, and it come with the indigenous population at some point.
Oh, so they came with the indigenous people.
Yeah.
So the indigenous
The
people,
problem
when they
with
got there,
wild dogs is dingoes, is most of them aren't dingoes anymore because there's been a wild dog population that's sort of peppered through there as well. Dingoes and normal dogs, like a domestic dog that's gone wild, have now interbred. And I'm pretty sure the only place you can find a purebred dingo now is on Fraser Island in Australia. They've got a policy or regulations that there's not allowed to be any domestic animals taken to the island at all, so the population stayed pure.
Oh, wow. So if you live there, you can't have a dog?
I don't think you can live on the island at all.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
Yeah.
You got weird rules.
Got weird rules, all right.
The weird rules is that you can't hunt anything native. That's very strange to me.
Yeah.
That they wouldn't just have to. But you have some deer,
kangaroos are
right?
on some of our currency, so they're like our icon. So imagine eating your bald eagle, like eating your American icon.
Probably delicious.
So that's one way to look at it.
Probably like a nice chicken.
But we can't eat echidnas or friggin' wombats or anything like that.
No.
Not that I'd probably want to.
But people do eat kangaroo, though. That's why I'm confused.
Yeah. And the indigenous can.
That's a dingo?
Yeah,
Wow.
They're good-looking dogs.
That looks like a Shiba Inu.
Yeah.
Wow.
They'd be Fraser Island dogs. Oh, yeah, you got to do
So that's a
look at them on the beach
purebred
and shit.
dingo.
Yeah,
wow.
should be purebred.
That's a beautiful dog.
Yeah,
that feels like you could take that thing as a puppy and raise it.
I've got a buddy who had one have a go at his little girl, like try and grab his little girl.
When he had it as a puppy, or just
just a
wild
wild one that come into the tent and tried to grab his little girl. There's one ripping a wallaby down there.
So what happened?
He ended up killing the dog. He found it the next morning and ended up shooting it with his bow. It was a wild dingo.
A dingo ate my baby.
Yeah, and I reckon there's some truth to that.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen how...
For sure. They go fishing? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
A wild dingo eating a shark on a beach.
That's a fucking cool photo.
That's a gangster-ass dog. Went and got himself a shark. It's a lot of meat in there.
I wonder if someone actually caught the shark. And
that's another thing that people are freaking out about here in America. It's the most recent freak out. It's people fishing and catching sharks.
It's same in Australia,
Let
dude.
it go.
Oh,
Why do you have... Where do you go? You used to be able to buy Mako shark. It was very common. You get it in a grocery store.
Dude, most flake and the stuff that you're buying shark, like when you buy like a battered bit of fish or something like that from one of them quick takeaways that does fish and chips.
Yeah.
Then most of that's actually flake, which is just a shark.
Really?
Yeah. No,
not here.
No specific.
You're talking Australia.
No, probably here too, dude.
What? Do you think they're serving up a lot of
For
shark
sure.
here?
There's heaps of them, and there's a ton of them. They get in the nets. That's where they go.
Really?
Yeah. Tastes good.
I've eaten Mako shark before, and it was delicious. It was like swordfish.
It's the same as anything, as long as we're not frigging killing them out.
Well, you know what happens is people find out that a lot of people are killing them for fins. Okay, warning, your fish and chips could actually be shark.
Damn, I've been
Steve
right a few
Bogan,
times today.
You are a bad motherfucker.
Oi, is this bloke Australian? Last name Bogan?
This is in the UK.
Ah.
So
He could fit right into Australia with a last name like Bogan.
Yeah, cashed up Bogans. That was did you tell me that? You might have told me that expression when I was
would
there.
have been Kim. Talking smack, far out.
So, but I think what happened was over here, the people found out about how many sharks get killed for the fins.
Yeah, okay.
Shark fin soup, and there was a big campaign to alert people about it. And so then the people that have just barely a peripheral awareness of conservation and of fishing and animal life, then they started going, don't kill sharks.
Yeah.
People are killing sharks. They're assholes. Meanwhile, they're eating a cod fillet.
Exactly, yeah.
And having some salmon for lunch on their salad. Would you eat this fish? A shark called a dogfish makes a tasty taco. Yeah, I'd eat the fuck out of a dogfish.
Yeah, it's still meat.
It's still a fish. I mean, it's not a fish, it's a shark. But I just don't understand why people would differentiate between that and tuna. How about you assholes that really love sushi? Back the fuck off of the tuna because they're killing all the goddamn tuna. Yeah. There's probably more sharks than there are tuna.
Yeah. There's some pretty strict regulations in Australia. The whole world needs it, though. Like
about
it's
tuna?
like... No, there's some regulations that have come into the Northern Territory of Australia now because you can actually shoot a magpie geese with a bow and arrow. So there's magpie geese and there's some introduced turkeys like what you guys have here in the States. They're the only birds that you can shoot with a bow and arrow in Australia.
Oh, really?
So they just brought in a season for magpie geese, which really restricts a lot of the hunters taking too many, which is fine. I think that's probably not a bad thing. But then these birds fly to other countries where there's no restrictions at all and they just fucking get hammered, dude. So it's like we're doing everything we can on our part, but they just go somewhere else and get slaughtered anyway.
They don't understand.
No, they
Stay
don't.
around Australia.
And the issues with the sharks as well. Like there's a few species that are highly protected in Australia, but they swim abroad and they're fair game for anyone.
Nobody eats great whites though, right?
Yeah, not that I know of.
But I guess people would if they were starving.
They would, for sure.
I mean, it's probably just fish. It probably tastes pretty good.
I don't think they'd give up too fucking easy. That's another monster, living monster, dude.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Legit monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was an instance in San Diego a few years back where a bunch of these people were training for a triathlon, and they were swimming in the ocean, and one out of nowhere just came and cut this guy in half right in front of everybody else. Just bit him right at the waist.
They're scary, dude.
Chopped him right in half. Chomp. Besides conserving their lives, shark meat can be terribly unhealthy. According to a CNN report from nearly 20 years ago, the mercury levels in sharks can cause coordination loss, blindness, and even death. Scientists think that sharks accumulate mercury in their body because they eat many smaller fish. That's interesting. Why you shouldn't eat shark meat.
Yeah, it doesn't marlin have a lot of mercury in it as well?
I don't know. They say a lot of the Hawaiians don't like to eat marlin.
Yeah.
You know, but I've heard marlin's good.
Yeah, I think a lot of those big fish, especially the predator ones, are full of mercury.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like predators in general have a lot of weird things going on with their body if you eat them.
Yeah.
You know, like mountain lions give you trichinosis.
This is an interesting study. Like it says at the top of the article, an estimated 100 million sharks are killed each year to feed consumer demand. And then the study came from a report of 124 sharks that were tested, and 1/3 of them came in with mercury levels that were over FDA action level of 1 part per million. So out of them, I don't know, 100 million sharks every year, 124 had a third of those were problematic. So 30 sharks were problematic or so, 40.
Out of how many? But they didn't test that many though, right?
Yeah. I mean, they didn't test 100 million. They tested 140 were bad.
Ooh, that's not good.
That's not good at all.
1/3? It's real bad, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Does it say maybe they were all in one area too? They could have came out of one shitty maybe area. I don't know.
Well, I've told the story 100 times, but I'll say it again just quickly. I had arsenic in my body from when I did a blood test. And they said, "What are you eating?" And I said, "I eat a lot of sardines." And the guy said, "Back off the sardines. We'll try it again in a couple of weeks." And the arsenic was gone. So
Holy
I was
shit!
Eating 2 cans of sardines a day. I love sardines. I don't know why.
I like sardines on toast.
I love them. They're
It
great.
says this too. King mackerel and swordfish.
Do not eat sharks, swordfish, king mackerel, or tilefish because they contain high levels of mercury. I've heard that about tuna as well.
I don't know those
In
fish.
certain areas, some tuna apparently contains high levels of mercury.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're assholes. I was reading something about fucking crabs. I put it up on my Twitter that crabs are getting Prozac in the water from human beings, Like, because so many fucking nutbags are on Prozac that it's getting into the oceans through runoff, and it's affecting crab behavior, and it's making crabs reckless. And
they already seem pretty fucking reckless.
I know, they're bugs, right? But apparently it's making them reckless. Here it goes.
Oh,
Prozac
dudes.
puts crabs in a mood to take deadly risks.
Shit, that's
That
what's
is
wrong
so
with me and
nuts.
Andrew Uckles.
You guys are on Prozac. Yeah. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, how crazy is the human race where we are giving Prozac inadvertently to fucking crabs and they're at a risk. Apparently they're worried about the population dying off, or at least being affected, because these crabs are doing reckless things, and it's going to cause them to get preyed upon or, you know, die. What the fuck, man?
Shit.
Crab brains on SSRIs. What is that word? How do you say that word, Jamie? Fluoxetine is a class of antidepressant called SSRI, or selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, meaning that it indirectly boosts the amount of mood-altering serotonin available to the brain. It's designed to affect people's brains in a way that can alleviate depressive symptoms, but past research has shown that when a person's fluoxetine-filled waste enters their shit and piss enters the waterways, it can alter the shore's crabs' reproductive, molting, and digestive behaviors, and may even cause the crabs to abandon their nocturnal schedule, according to the paper. Wow.
Humans are
nuts.
cunts.
We are. Well, we're definitely a mess. We're definitely a mess. Speaking of that, let's get out of here and go get something to eat.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Dude.
I feel like I need to get you to say that you're coming to Australia.
I'll come to Australia eventually. I'll do some shows.
go
We'll go to a
hunting.
nice restaurant, have dinner.
Just come hunting, dude. Just
I
say
don't want to
it.
get killed by a brown snake.
Just you won't.
What if-
I'll fucking protect you.
If I die and everybody who likes this podcast no longer gets a podcast, they'll be fucking mad at you for bringing me to Australia.
It'll be
to shoot
worth
some
it. It'll
leather-skinned
be
animal
fucking worth
that
it.
takes forever to eat.
You need to come. Me, you, and Cam.
All right, we'll work something out.
No,
Maybe not.
just say yes.
Why don't we just go to Hawaii and shoot axis deer and have
No,
a
it's
good old
not
time?
the same. You need
Stay
to
at a
come.
nice resort.
Come to Arnhem Land. Hunt buffalo.
Sounds
boars.
terrible.
No,
You get eaten by. Listen to what you're
we'll
offering
drink
me.
buff piss together.
Oh,
Very authentic.
wonderful. Get chased by saltwater crocodiles and watch brown snakes slither into our camp.
Probably.
Yeah.
Oi, thanks
All
for
right,
having
brother.
me on the
My
show
pleasure,
again,
brother.
brother.
Always.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie.
Adam Greentree, ladies and gentlemen. Adam.Greentree on Instagram. Is that
That's
what it is?
correct.
And first.man.image. Adam, get it? First man. Adam and Eve.
Kim's wearing an Eve shirt today. She thinks she's fucking
Oh,
cool.
that's
as fuck.
adorable. That's adorable. All right. Thanks, brother. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
buddy.
It was fun.